Yeah, y'all, these things are coming at a rapid pace, but they're going to appease most of the nation. They say, well, look, this is what we're going to do for y'all, man. We're going to legalize marijuana. Yeah. What else you got? Well, bestiality's coming in. You know that? So, to offset that, we're going to legalize polygamy. So they say it's going to give you your marijuana and your polygamy, and y'all leave us alone.
Give y'all weed, y'all money.
Right. Legally.
You're legally, but you're right.
So, y'all, they're giving and they passing it back and forth, and all of it's coming down to marriage, just like Genesis 6 said. They were given in marriage. And being given in marriage. So, y'all, we have to understand these things, so I'm going to hit it at a high level. And what you want to hit on Obey right quick?
Rainbow.
I got Revelation 4.
Get started there. We're going to Ezekiel 1:27. And then Psalm 4, I need 2, I believe. I mean, Ecclesiastes. So Revelation chapter 4. All right, y'all know how we get down. Men, uncover your head when praying and prophesying. Women, cover your heads when praying and prophesying. This is the order of the assembly, you know, but we don't command nobody, we enforcing nobody to tie your arm behind your back. It's a spiritual order. It's an order when praying and prophesying only, as the scriptures speak of. You know, that's 1 Corinthians 11 and Numbers 30th chapter. Get into that order of how we come together as an assembly. What's that scripture again? It's 1 Corinthians 11 chapter, all of that. And Numbers 30. All of that. There's order there, you know, and it talks about spiritual covering, you know. Isaiah, what's that, 30 now, it talks about when they're taking on Egypt, not his cover.
Yeah, Isaiah 30th chapter, that's 31st chapter.
So, right, so we're talking about covering spiritual first in nature, you know. And that's what the Most High said, my covering will become brass over your head. And that means ain't no prayers get through. He ain't hearing nothing. We had to ask a lot of times, how long, Lord, without turning our face from us? When we get it right, we'll look back around. Let's get that.
All right. Revelation chapter 4. We'll start at 1, 3 first.
Okay.
Let's kick it off. Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, Yahweh, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass.
How long will it take now?
Shortly come to pass.
Right.
And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bare record of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ and of all things that he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that heard the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand.
The time is at hand, y'all.
Amen.
So we'll go just to Ezekiel, going right to Revelation 4. While we're there.
Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne.
What was it around about the throne?
A rainbow round about the throne,
See that?
in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment. And they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunders and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne.
So those 7 lamps are y'all, that's the menorah, just like right there. 7 lamps is the holy lampstand.
Which are the 7 spirits of God.
So right there, y'all, we see the rainbow was surrounding the throne. So what's happening here is Satan want to make that where you say, and don't want to touch it.
Right.
He's got access. He's saying, I'm controlling it now. And so if you do try to represent what's going on around your father's throne, you're going to be misunderstood.
Right.
And somebody going to think you got dust in your eye. Let's get some Genesis 9 where the Most High said he let us know this covenant was throne related. Because we see what's covering the throne and we see the covenant he made with us as a sign that I'm dealing with you. Genesis 9.
You see the attack though.
Yes, sir.
That's around the throne of the Most High. And you make that your symbol for abomination.
Right.
You see that?
So you see where the attack coming from. You see Satan all on that.
That's right.
All on. That's around the throne of the majesty on high.
Right.
And you look at it now like it's a gay symbol.
Right. And see, that's why you got to be careful with the adversary that that's on our trail. See, he'll have you hating that symbol of the rainbow, If so be it, the glory of God come upon you, you see that there, you be fighting against it.
Right.
No, just like we give him, we got to be careful and say the devil is controlling fire. Like he just walking through the fire, chilling like, who next coming down here?
Right. He reigned.
And he's reigning. No, he don't want no parts of that lady.
Now, it tell you in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 9, that the Most High sitting on the throne of pure fire.
That's right.
He's sitting on the throne of fire. But we think Satan controls fire.
Right. Like Daniel was saying about making you scared of the symbol. I used to work with these 2 dudes who used to play practical jokes on each other. And one of them put a rainbow sticker on the back of the other one's car. And the dude didn't know it, but he was wondering why all these guys was always smiling at him. All like on at him, trying to holler at him.
Whoa, no, I say it ain't so.
It took about 2 weeks before he figured it out.
Well, that's why you had to be careful you ain't rocking a mullet. And mess around, got on them skinny jeans, you be mistaken. Boy, we had Genesis 9.
It's funny because that's the type of guys that work.
They talking about that new trend setting.
The trend set.
They're trying to get that for the younger generation.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Because see, if they can pass it on, they figure they'll die out shortly. We want them to totally forget about the law. Y'all make sure we hit that Hosea 8. The law has become a strange thing. Is that chapter 11?
That's the other day.
Let's get it. Genesis chapter 9, verse 11.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 11. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off anymore by the waters of a flood.
You see that the Most High say, I don't care how bad it rains, what the weatherman say, it ain't gonna never be a flood. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not gonna destroy it that way.
Not by water.
So no matter what you hear or something coming your way, it ain't gonna never be of that proportion.
The next one is by fire. The next element.
That's right.
We already used the water to destroy the world. Even the day of the Lord, the heavens is going to be on fire. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8 to 11. The day of the Lord.
Y'all done seen it. What's that one movie, The Knowledge?
No.
See, they said it wasn't nuclear. They even admitted it's not nuclear. They say the sun don't do it. But they'll say anything outside because they know it's going to be greater. It's going to be something that's going to rid the earth and renew it by fire. It's going to purge this earth. And I don't care what it is out there in the world. You put fire on it, it's going to get moved. Let a bird come out angry. And you got a wad and stick on that fire up with some charcoal lighter fluid. And put it right up under his nostril. Y'all see Frankenstein, the only thing got him straightened out all the time with sticks and rocks. And he took off. That fire don't play, y'all. It's the reason the Most High shows. Let's get some more of that. What you have, bro? Verse 12?
Verse 12, verse 11, finishing on verse 11. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is my token, this is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for a perpetual generation.
So the Most High say, for every living creature that is with you, both man and beast, I'm not going to destroy the breath out of an animal either on max level like that again. Back this up, hold that right there. Did you hold on? Did you finish on? No, I want you to hit that next 13, but I want you to hit right there. I want somebody to get that Isaiah 52 for me right quick. At 9, so we see that this covenant was still in existence because the prophet Isaiah mentioned it too when he talks about the Most High. Verse 5, hit 54 and 5 and read down to verse 9. And we see again that the Most High, this message is still going forth even up into our generation, that the Most High ain't going to never destroy this world again with a flood.
Isaiah chapter 54, I got it.
We're going to start at verse 2, but y'all read that whole thing. Very fine. Let's get that.
Isaiah 54, verse 9. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth.
What verse you in?
9.
Start at 5.
5.
Yeah. Well, let's start on 9. That was long time. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. For thy maker is thy husband.
See, who is our maker?
Thy husband.
That's our husband. So you would have this scoundrel, Lucifer and his cohort, trying to mimic this on a lustful level. See, because Christ is our husband, man, meaning we are male, but it ain't none of that hanky-panky.
Right.
But he let them have their way. Do is our will. That's his command. The command of our power says, fear the Lord and keep his commandments. That's our duty, y'all. Let's get some more of that. Go ahead, bro.
Right now, Jeremiah 3 and 14 as well.
That's right.
Second witness of that. And we're married to the Lord.
That's right. Y'all heard that Jeremiah 3:14.
Look at Isaiah 54 and 5, 2 Now, a quick 2 witnesses on.
Go ahead, brother. Read on.
For thy maker is thy husband. The Lord of hosts is his name.
What's his name?
The Lord of hosts is his name. And thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The God of the whole earth shall he be called.
What is he going to be called?
The God of the whole earth.
Not just Disneyland, but the whole earth. And you see those 3 titles within that one verse?
And Lord of hosts.
So we can call him either one of them, can't we? Thy maker.
Yep.
You speaking of thy maker, the husband.
The Holy One of Israel.
Only one of this.
How's somebody going to force you to say you got to stay on this?
grieved in spirit, and the wife of you, when thou was refused, saith thy God.
When the Most High called us, when we was refused, y'all, because we have to understand, once Adam sinned, Satan knew exactly what he had to do. There was some refusal there, because there's lawbreak in paradise. No. So the courting of the nation of Israel started from Abraham when he received the covenant to come out at Mount Sinai was 430 years before we got married to the Most High at Mount Sinai. That was a long engagement process. So you sisters don't get mad if it's been 16 years and 12 children and he said, we're going to do this.
Slow him up if he's rushing.
I ain't getting no smile. It ain't like there, but you see the Most High, because one day is as 1,000 years to the Most High, so his time is stretched out a little bit longer than ours. No, I don't think it's going to be no 430 years. But let's read on a little bit more there.
Verse 7. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather
How
thee.
long did he say he forsaken us?
Small
A
moment.
small moment, y'all ain't been long. It ain't a long time when you understand it everlasting. You ain't got to look at a watch. Beware at what time. You're in what's called timelessness. You're in the light. If you ever reach the speed of light, you're going to the next dimension. And these heathens say they the best. They say it's 378,000 miles per second. That's how fast the speed of light is going. What they did is when the sun hit, they let it hit a mirror on the other end and bounce back. They say, oh, it's unbelievable. When you get into that light, then it's timeless. Ain't no more 24-hour clock. You are in a different realm. And with that different realm, it's going to take a different flesh. A born-again flesh, y'all. Can't do it in this flesh. It ain't going to get it done. This flesh decays away. Y'all know what y'all feel it in the morning. Grabbing on something. Well, right there. Just say no! Right there. Oh, ain't going to go for that. Let's get it, y'all. We'll get it.
Verse 8. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment. But with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer.
Who's saying this?
The Lord thy Redeemer.
The Lord thy Redeemer. And y'all see how this title is given always around terms or prophecies when he's saying he's gathering, because he's redeeming the elect. So that's his title at that time. And mercy is always here. Mercy is all the way around. So when they talking about grace just came in, oh, we have the grace. Grace been around. It's Genesis 9 we're going back to. Grace is in that. That's what Noah found. Let's get it.
For this is as the waters of Noah
As the waters of who?
of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so I have sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee.
Verse 10.
For the mountains shall depart, and the hills shall be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, save the Lord that hath mercy on thee.
No, well, we can hold that. That's another one there telling you that that covenant is still good. Like he swore that oath. And a swearing is a binding oath. Psalm 110, the Most High swore that Christ would come after you on a Melchizedek. So why we keep putting him in there? We got him out of order, don't we? Let's get this other one, Ezekiel chapter 1, and then we're going to hit Sirach chapter,
Finish off this 13, down to 13 real quick.
on Genesis 9. Yeah, I'm sorry, we're going back to Genesis 9, y'all. Going down to verse 13, because we're talking about the rainbow and how they've stolen it. And they waved it proud as against them. Right. So it's just a attack directly on the Most High. But y'all got to understand, the thought process of what Satan is trying to do to your mind. He wants you every time you think about the rainbow to think about what's happening, and then you despise the rainbow.
That's right.
And you can't think like that. You know, it's just cause it's December the 25th. Ain't nowhere under the heavenly tablets is written that day belongs to Christmas. So you got to act like it don't even exist. If you despise December the 25th because it's that day, what you despise but God's day? That's just something Satan is doing on that day. You can't allow him to slip that trickery in there on you, and you start to hate what God has for you. One way or the other, he's doing that 3-part Molly and trying to slip in some hate. Go ahead, bro.
I mean, homosexuals do gay stuff every day, so you want to every day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now we ain't even talking about all sin, but what we're talking about one right now, just out on the table, is they allow you to choose to be unrepentant for it. And understand when we get into our topic of the law of the land, we won't explain that perfectly because, you know, that has to be used in the correct content from both sides, from us who know about it, and from also how it will be addressed in any type of argument. You know, the marijuana and the homosexuals, they obey the laws of the land, and the first thing we'll say is, well, the law is allowing gay marriage, not by command. By choice. It's a difference. Most High say we cut off whatever the law of the land say. If they command you to accept another order as somebody as being the creator and worthy to be worshipped. At that point, we cut it off.
There's a difference.
There's a major difference. We cut it off.
It's okay.
What you saying, brother?
It's okay. That's what
Right.
they ain't banned you to be homosexual.
Right. You can still marry the sister of your choice. We're talking about spiritual sister of your choice.
The fact that they just allow them to be tripping on her.
That's right.
You're seeing the moral decline of our society.
Right.
Seeing it.
They're trying to get you comfortable and trying to trick your mind just like the rainbow to think that this is acceptable in the eyes of the Most High.
Right.
But we know, right, but we know what Lot went through. This is a Boy Scout meeting we see in this morning. I mean, they had activity on street corners. You just ride down Kings Highway and there's activity. And there's people just walking around like it's just at the corner store. No, it's on the way. Let's get some more of this. Where we at? Ezekiel chapter 1. Oh, we back to Genesis 9. My bad, y'all. Genesis chapter 9, verse 13.
Genesis 9, verse 13. And I do set my bow in the cloud.
What are you going to set in the cloud?
My bow.
He said, I'm going to set my bow in the cloud. Go ahead.
And it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
And that's the covenant the Most High made. When he made one with us, you see that in verse 11. You know, verse 9 on down. Well, verse 9 on down, the covenant he made with us and the beast. And then this is the covenant with the earth. You know, and the token of the bow, because I'm not going to flood the earth out anymore. Let's read some more of that.
And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth,
Right?
that the bow shall be seen in the cloud.
See, and y'all always see after a terrible storm, and that cloud is still there, and you see a rainbow. That gives you a sign of hope that like, oh, that went it. Might be real. It got a little rough. Right. It got a little rough, and you might gonna have some more time. This flood everywhere. But that ain't covering the earth again. That was a good one. Let's read a little bit more.
And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth.
Read that verse 17.
And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I shall establish between me and all flesh in that is upon the earth.
So it said all flesh that is upon the earth. So this covenant is to let everybody know that this was the real deal. So y'all, we have to clearly understand how Satan has masterfully stolen so-called the rainbow from the minds of men. And it's stolen from us if we think that we ain't supposed to, look at it as something that's holy. Not what they got, but what's written in the scripture. I was going to go to Ezekiel 1:27, but I'm going to hit that Psalm, that's Sirach, Ecclesiastes in the Apocalypse, chapter 43. And we're going to start about verse 11. And then we're going to come back to that. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is like when in that verse where he said that the Lord has made a covenant between him and the earth. It's not like the earth is a living creature that he communicates with, but he has set forth his ordinances to where, like when you read the Psalm and it says like, let the hills rejoice, let the seas roar,
right,
and all the things that the Lord has created to give him praise.
Right.
The lambs and the little lambs and and the trees and all these things that sing forth to him. That's what he's saying. That covenant that he made between the earth is that they know themselves that this will not happen again. That the trees know that I will not be destroyed by a flood again. The earth knows that.
They know.
That's that covenant that he made.
They know. They know.
Because it's just like you say, the animals know. Like when I pray, and my dogs are running around, they stop. They stop. They know that what I'm doing and who it's to. So they stop running around until I get done.
That's what's up. What you got, sister?
I want to ask, now that we're saying about the rainbow,
No, we're going to get some more cleared up even more. Go ahead.
how do we react to it before, come up with blanking with the resolution?
Right, you explain the real deal because the deal is there's going to be some that not partaking in that activity and they may lash out at that symbol. So you have to be conscious-minded that if they happen to see it in the Bible and some get thrown out there erroneously about what's in the Bible, they'll say, see, and that's why I don't trust the Bible, because if they get turned, you got to explain this was way before they decided that they're going to start their movement. It's just what they'll want to do. They'll want you to have disdain for the Most High. Just like Negro Caesar came in and poured swine blood on the altar. They want you to look at that altar like, is it really clean ever after Jeremiah came in? But they tore it down and built a new one. But that's what they do. So in like manner, they want to stain your mind with the fact that every time you think about a rainbow, instead of thinking about it's around the throne of the Most High, you're going to think about them. And you're going to get despising in your mind. So that's the trick Satan like to play with his bootleg copy of the rainbow.
And it's also, you get, like what I did, when you take notes, I take notes of my notes. So in my notes, I highlight something, and I'm flipping through my notes, and I just in general study, okay, yeah, here these scripts are on the rainbow. I made a note of that already, that if I need that, I know where to go get it. Or even if I'm just flipping through it, I'll see, the rainbow, I can read back over these scripts and refresh myself in my mind with them, and I know exactly where to go get them at when it come time for that.
Go ahead, bro, where we at? Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha? We're going to read a little bit more about what's at the throne of the Most High. See, they'll use that and try to ease and say, look, that's going to allow us in.
Because of the symbol.
Because of the symbol.
You confusing the symbol with the gate movement and not it being around the throne of God.
That's right.
You feel me? So then someone will say, okay, see, the rainbow is in the Bible.
Right.
The rainbow is a symbol of the gate movement.
Right.
So God just say it's okay to be gay. Right. It never stopped.
No,
You know,
yeah.
so if you were to hear something like this, just you know, somebody's really listenable, share some scripture with them about it. Like, no, that's not God.
That's right.
And then God said that lifestyle is an abomination, so we got to turn from that so we can be in his good graces. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's all that is out there for. You know, you show them, look, that's not the symbol. They just adopted it as a symbol a couple years ago. That's not the symbol of the gay pride movement. That's something that's around the throne of the majesty on high.
Right.
So
It
this
ain't no possible.
right. And then he said, look, it's a covenant. So now you know that he's never supposed to flood the earth.
That's what the rainbow means.
Let's get it. Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha was part of the original King James. Malachi 1 that has the Apocrypha within it. You know, if you got one that's read along, or just listen up, y'all. And we look like we're going to have to order some more of them. You know. Ecclesiasticus chapter 43, we're going to start at verse 1 through 13. And we're going to see how these things work for the Most High man.
Ecclesiastes chapter 43, verse 1.
What it say, Israel?
The pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven, with his glorious show, the sun when it appeared, declaring at his rising, a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High.
What is it?
The work of the Most High.
So we know who created the sun. Go ahead.
At noon it parcheth the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof?
That's why that's the hottest time of the day. You shorties know grandma won't let you out at noon time. Wake them up too.
See what it do to a worm.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 4, a man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more.
Yeah, but I notice what they're talking about, global warming, and you can be a blacksmith in front of that heat all day with that fire, just saying, standing in front of a barbecue pit every day. And it's hot and fire, but they say the sun is, that can't even compare. What it will even just do to the mountain. Go ahead.
Breathing out fiery vapor.
What is breathing out?
Fiery vapor. And sending forth bright beams. It dimmeth the eyes.
Y'all know what they do if you ain't got a pair on blue blockers. Go ahead.
Great is the Most High that made it, and in his commandment it runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
Y'all see what the moon was made for? So he's saying this too, this matches up with Genesis 1. Go ahead, sis, what you got?
Since we're talking about the sun and the moon, versus Israelites, I guess it's a doctrine going around that the Sabbath is at sunrise.
Is that sunrise, the Sabbath is at sunrise?
They were saying, you know, it was like the animals and everything is blossoming in the morning. We wake up in the morning, so it was like we do it at sunset.
Genesis chapter 1, evening and the morning.
Right. In the scripture, it was like, well, it said evening and morning, but he didn't make it specific.
He didn't make it.
He said it on fast.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
He said it 6 times.
Exactly. Right.
Believe it, who was actually doing it at sunset, now they're doing it at sunrise.
Right.
You know, so that's what I'm just
It's a lot of doctrine.
Right. Because he set it up in a way it was darkness all over the face of the earth. So when he tell you light come out of darkness, so he's showing you the order of it. Darkness and then the light. So for this, so it's telling you how the setup was from the beginning. So I've never read anywhere that it says it was dawning toward the evening or it was evening time. Christ gave up the ghost, and then they had to get him down before the Sabbath. Now, if that was 3 p.m., that's a long time. He had never said he hung up there at night, through the night. So if the Sabbath was coming, this 3 p.m., this the night, this the
Ninth hour.
ninth hour of the day. That the Most High gave up the goats. He had to be down off that cross before nightfall or polluted the Sabbath. The Passover move, wasn't it? When did we start cooking the lamb? At twilight, at evening.
Between the two evenings.
Between the two evenings. So everything we do starts around that time because it's in a time that where neither sun nor day is ruling. I mean, sun nor moon is ruling, but the twilight. And that's the light that was in Genesis 1 and 1 and 2 before the sun and the moon created on the fourth day. So what was that light in Genesis 1 and 1? So they'll try to trick you with that, sister, but the whole thing is always, you know, they're telling you, look, don't believe your lying eyes. I know it say that, but it means something else. Make them prove it. Make them prove it. Let's read a little bit more, y'all.
Understand what you said about Christ being on the throne. We had a couple hours to get him off the cross before the next day came.
That's right.
At the ninth hour, it was 3 p.m. That's when we gave those days. The next day started when the sun went down. That's
Right.
Between 3 and 6 o'clock to get him off the cross, body prepped and put the tomb before the next day arrived.
Right.
Anytime we do something unclean, it's until evening.
Right.
Clean again.
Leviticus, what is that?
18 or
15.
15 years.
And the main reason he was because he was the sacrificial lamb to take over the Passover lamb for us, and you kill the lamb on the 14th. The day of Feast of Unleavened Bread is the 15th day, so he had to be ready for that. That's why he had to be offered at the same time you kill the Passover lamb at evening time. Go ahead, sis.
Is that time 6 o'clock?
I can't hear you.
Is the time 6 o'clock?
What we would call our evening is we're running a 24-hour clock. The day you leave when they count start at 6 a.m. or at what we call the crack of dawn. You know, it's different times all over the world because of where the sun rises and sets. Like Jerusalem is 7 hours and 35 minutes ahead of us. So their new moon is going to be before ours. You know, so we understand that, but we in the West. So we're going to come as close as possible as we can, you know, to these foreshadows of what's going to take place in the kingdom. Well, let's get right back to it, y'all. What verse 10?
Verse 7. From the moon is the sign of the feast.
What?
Is the sign of feast.
That's why we know how to do Passover, because it's a sign for the feast. Go ahead.
Right. A light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name.
You see that? Month comes after the name of the moon, because that's why you have 12 months after the 12 cycles of the moon. Let's get it. Where we at?
The verse 8. The month is called after the moon, is called after her name, increasingly wonderful in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
It's an instrument of the arms. Full moon, a lot of things happen. Roaring in the waves. It shifts and makes changes on different things. Actually, you working a midnight shift, that's why you can look 10 times older after a year of it. Because the moon sends out energy to drive you out. And the sun gives energy. Let's get it.
Let's see, verse 8. Being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven, the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Most High.
In what places?
In the highest places of the Lord. Verse 10, at the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order.
What will they do?
They will stand in their order.
I command. What we look like bowing down to the sun or the moon when they take it off?
Right.
Why would you bow to the lesser? They take it off. The sun and the moon. Let's get it.
People worship, you ain't lying. Right. All religions.
That's right.
Islam is based off of the moon worship, the moon, and the Sunday doctrine, Christianity is based off sun worship.
That's right.
Right.
All the holidays and all that based off of the movement of the sun. That's why.
See, everything he tells us not to worship, they say go ahead and do it. Right. Do as thou wilt. Let's get it.
At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and will never faint in their watches. Look upon the rainbow.
Look upon what?
Look upon the rainbow.
Not tomorrow, what you're gonna see on the TV. I want you to look upon it like that. Go ahead, read some more.
And praise him that made it.
Right?
Very beautiful it is in the brightness thereof. It compasseth the heaven about with a glorious circle, and the hands of the Most High have bended it.
No.
By his commandment he maketh the snow afar apace, and sendeth swiftly the lightnings of his judgment.
We can hold that. Y'all read all that on your own time. Let's get this last one, Ezekiel 1:27, and then we're gonna move on into the law of the land. But we want all of this tied in together. You know, and we're going to see Ezekiel when he was blessed to look into the heavens and what he saw surrounding the throne.
Hey, real quick on that reminded me to say his hands had bended it, right?
That's right.
That took me back to elementary school when they was teaching us about them rainbows.
Right.
I just remember my teacher talking about it and saying that we can't explain how a rainbow
What they
is
say they
bent.
can't do?
They can't explain how it's bent.
Right.
Because it's light.
Right.
Rainbow is light, but
Right.
no man can bend light.
Right.
And they can't explain it. I just thought that was two ways. It's a child.
See y'all at that. Right now they're trying to bend light with this trickery, with this, what's that, Harry Potter? They got these little things where it's this invisible cloak they use. They call that bending light, but they're really using this little piece of crystal, some type of fossil. I know that allow them to bend light. But no, it ain't like the rainbow, what they can prove that they like, we gotta prove about that.
I know what it is.
That's something we're still working on.
The army is.
What?
That cloak that you're talking about.
Right.
That it's a camouflage thing where it reflects like
It was in Harry Potter though.
They back around
Right.
too, like they had a car in the woods, and they put this cloak
But
over
yeah,
it
no.
that made the car invisible, and then they got a commercial out like that, where the car is driving down the street, you can't see it, because it's reflecting the lights off the side of the street stuff. You know, like the buildings and stuff, it's reflecting it back double, so you're seeing what's behind you. You know, so you don't see the car in front of you.
Let's get it, y'all. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 27. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's what it was, the invisible soldier.
They use the sound too, though.
So let's start at verse 24.
The sound
Y'all start at verse 1 of this, y'all. This is when Ezekiel was called up. The chariots of the Most High came and got Ezekiel. Y'all start at verse 1 on your own time, but right to get to the point. We're going to pick it up at verse 24.
Everybody there? Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 24.
And this is just another one on the rainbow been around. They can't lay claim to it. They plagiarize. They selling that bootleg.
All right, verse 24. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne.
The likeness of a what?
A throne. As the appearance of a sapphire stone.
You see this same thing we read earlier in Revelation 4? Go ahead.
And the appearance of the sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man upon it. And I saw as the color of amber,
Right.
as the appearance of fire round about within.
So he said when he saw this man, he saw the color of amber. If you look that up, that's a translucent, darkish brown. A burnished brown. He said, I saw the color of amber, but since you can't see the glory and you have sin on you, he ain't gonna never see the face. He only gonna see like Moses saw the backside Christ's glory, and he's gonna see the loins down. You know, so he always, you ain't gonna never see it. I saw as his face, you gonna always see that as light. You know, something you won't be able to look directly into. Go ahead and read a little bit more of that.
Starting from the beginning again. And I saw the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. From the appearance of his loins even upward.
What does it say from appearance where?
Even upward from
Right.
his loins. And from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain.
Say that again.
As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake.
So when he said, I looked up and saw the glory of the Lord, it was like the bow in the cloud in the day. What day do you think he's talking about? He's talking about the day of the Lord. When he said, I wasn't going to flood everyone with Shalom Children. So y'all, right there, we see the origin of the so-called, what they're trying to mock, the rainbow. We see its spiritual nature, its true nature. It was a sign of a covenant between the Most High and every creature on earth, man and beast, that he would not destroy the world again by flood. Yeah, go ahead.
Revelation 10.
Revelation 10. Let's get that last one, y'all. Let's get that Revelation 10. But all of it's time in the world we in today. In the world about what it's called.
Verse 1 through 9.
Revelation chapter 10.
Verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot upon the earth. And I cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roared. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein. And there should be a time no longer, time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, and as he had declared to his servants, the prophets. Still go to 9?
No, you hold that. But y'all, we see that clearly. That rainbow is tied to the covenant of the Most High.
Yes.
Around his throne.
Yes.
So don't be, y'all don't get too angry that you lose focus. You know, and you see them with it parading around in a sashaying. Don't get too up and on.
Big birthday, ain't that last verse right there? He had read verse 7, it's like it's finished. Don't that tie into Matthew chapter 5 when we talk about fulfill and the other prophets.
Oh yeah, all things got to be fulfilled. But you see here, John was told not to write no more after this wrong. So as always, the Most High gives you enough for your generation. But definitely it's just that of the prophets. All things when they say the law is done, when they say after the law and everything the prophets explain, then you know you can wipe away the law, so to speak. In a sense, because once that's over, there's no need for the law. Right? There ain't no guideline to teach you how to do right because everything not gonna be doing right. Like it was supposed to be from the beginning. But y'all, we're gonna get into some things here because of all of the laws that are rapidly changing in this land. Now we got to take our part of it because we wouldn't do right when we had our own laws. We kept tripping. We wanted to be like the other nations. Always. Let's do what they do. So the Most High say, since that's the case, then I'll let you go there and deal with them. I had 613 for you. How many laws in this land now?
Millions.
Over 2.5 million. Now we live in 613, but we want to come to a land that has over 2 million. Let's get right to it. Romans chapter 13, verse 1, and then we're going to get into some 1 Peter. We're going to get some clear understanding because it's a lot of people saying that Paul was this or that. They're saying that Paul ain't never told us to put ourselves in harm's way. Paul telling us to do what the Messiah said. You are in the world, but not of the world. That means you're dealing in a society that you're going to have to be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. You're going to have to know what's going on. You're going to have to be aware of what's going on because it's called technology and it's moving at a rapid pace. We got to understand Revelation 16, it says when they get up to it, it's going to be a cause. It's not going to be a command to make you take the mark of the beast. It's a cause that's going to come, or like an act. And it's going to see if you can withstand because it's got to be free will. The mark of the beast will be free will. You going to let me in this baby stay hungry? What's our man issue? You better take the mark.
You better take it.
All right, y'all, we in Romans 13th chapter.
Yes, sir.
Verse 1. How we looking, everybody there? Romans 13 and 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher power.
Just say it again.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher power.
So we're talking about spiritual first. And foremost, always.
For there is no power but of God.
Whose power is it now?
There is no power but of God.
We're going to get some John when Christ had to tell Pilate the same thing to his face. So that he was clear on this matter. Go ahead now.
The powers that be ordained of God.
See that? The powers that be are ordained of God. So I know this nation is in a wicked state, but it ain't one on this planet ain't doing it. Because Satan was sent here as the prince of this world to cause chaos. He was given into his possessions. But the Most High raised up kings for his purpose because they still, like the covenant was made with every creature on earth, still have to get down.
Hey, y'all write this down, the book of Daniel, chapter 4, verse 17.
We're going to go there now. We're going to hold on that. You know what I'm saying? That
4 and 17.
This right here is also this is not where people get this from when they don't want to acknowledge God and just say that I believe in a higher power, because it answers it right here.
Powers that be ordained of God.
That's right. So people say, well, they don't want to say God out their mouth. They don't want to give it to him. They don't want to give him the credit and acknowledge him as being who he is. They just say, well, I believe in a higher power.
Right.
And this is not where that comes from.
Right, because see, for you to believe in a higher power, that higher power has to have a set of rules and regulations. But there's a law of physics, ain't it?
Yep.
And it's calculations they go by to figure it out. There's a law of physics. There's the law of nature. ain't it? It tells you about how gravity and all of this take place, and then you say, oh, I got a God, but, you know, he ain't got no paperwork. So what you ran to about? How you know y'all communicating?
He ain't got nobody to do it.
Let me read this word. James, y'all write this down. James 2:19. One of the higher powers. James 2:19. Thou believest that there is one God. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble.
That's right.
But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Faith without works is dead. Just like a goal without a plan is a wish. You can wish all day. Look, if you wish you want to be in the kingdom, you're going to have to keep the commandments. There's a plan to get into the kingdom. If that's what your goal is, can't wish your way in. Think because I step lightly and don't make noise when the preacher preaches. Let's get it, y'all. Where we at?
Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God.
Go ahead.
And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
So we see that the Most High, as the way we look at this, but the United States government has something in law. What is it called now? The Public
Law 97.
Law 97, where they acknowledge that the Bible is the official word of God.
Right.
So they know that this is in America has the law of God. That's why the Most High said, I'm going to send you to a nation, and that nation will I judge. The Most High will not judge a nation that does not have his law. Because they're going to be saying, which one we wrote, y'all? So every nation we done been to that had the law of the Most High there. That's right.
Right. See, I talked to you about this before. I was watching a show on elephants in India. And this dude said that the elephants have the wisdom of Solomon. And I was like, well, if y'all believe in Ganesha and all that, how do you know about the wisdom of Solomon? And
Right.
they said it's without excuse. They
Right.
all know this.
All of them know.
You just refuse to get with it.
You ain't never heard on the news. And there was a flood of Quranic proportions.
Right.
There was a flood of Jehovah's Witness proportions. No, they said there was a flood of biblical proportions. This man has the wisdom of Solomon.
You talking about Solomon?
It's such and such BC. Time is measured off the birth of Christ. Let's get it.
Verse 3. For rulers are not a terror to good works.
Y'all heard it? See, rulers are not a terror to good works. If they got laws set up, the laws they set up will destroy them too if they made up laws like that. This is why we say there's a difference in street law versus the laws of the land. Street law, we know what that is. It's a rough law. You can't trust somebody. You know. Y'all know what street law is.
Right.
You know. It's street law. I'll tell you how you my main man. But if them popos get you, and they owe me 50, I'll be singing like a citation. That's street law. But this law here is not a terror, and we're going to read to them that ain't even worried about it. If you ain't doing out of order what they saying, it's not a terror to you. Let's be smart about where you at.
Wilt thou, I'm in verse 3, middle verse 3. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good.
Do what?
Do that which is good. And thou shalt have praise of the same.
See, the only time we start sweating and cussing is if we see them get behind us and we know we just got them stickers from 2 fingers at the car shop. Yeah, well, if you change your own name, you be like, damn, what them 2 fingers? You know they fly and you sweat now. Why he on me? Why he on me? You know why he on me. Because we're saying, if you want to try, this is what you got to do. If you don't do that, we're going to write out some paperwork for you. some more.
Verse 4. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil.
See, this court of law, we have court of law too. They are mimicking the exact same court of law. I mean, the charges are the same, but when the only difference is, this is a law of man. And that law will go corrupt for a few extra shekels. But it ain't nothing new under the sun. We did that too. In 1 Samuel chapter 1, Samuel's sons was taking bribes and wasn't following the way Samuel was. And this in Israel first. Taking bribes. Somebody come to him and tell him, man, I was into this activity on the other side of midnight, man. I am so ashamed. I know the law requires 2 turtle doves and I have those every hour. 2 turtle doves? You got to be crazy. Do you want this broadcast before all this? No. 6 turtle doves. And get going. Bribery they was taking. Let's get some more now.
Verse 5. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake.
To keep you in line with the Most High, because they're going to almost line up the same. Because they can't do nothing about the seasons. The 4 seasons going to happen the way they are ordered to go. The sun and the moon going to come up as they're going to be ordered to go. So they have no way to write into their laws to make it work the opposite. Because the sun and the moon obey the Most High. So their laws have to be geared around that. And according to their calendar says the same thing, don't it? Don't it say Saturday is the 7th day of the week? And Sunday is the 1st day of the week? Even when the new moons come in, they got it set. They know. Most of their calendars have Hebrew holy days on them. But we don't even look at it. Because we're looking at the calendar. Christmas. This is a damn Roman period. And they got it right there. Right in your face, y'all. This is why I said first Romans 1:20 is going to be without excuse. It's going to be without excuse for you to stand before the Most High and say it was not there. Like, who do you think you're talking to? I put that in your face every day. Let's get it. Some more of that matter.
Verse 6. For this cause pay you tribute also. For they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing.
Now we have to look at some things. We can't become part of this nation, but the Most High made sure He put us in this nation that we be taken care of. You have to understand taxes. He's saying if they order you to pay taxes, you're going to help for them pay taxes. Actually, it may not help you in digging your pocket, but a lot of other things they plan for with that a lot of Israelites are eating off of it. You know, really the season was season. If you don't want to pay them, follow the law that tells you what to do when you don't pay them. You got to keep up with that. You know, you can go soft. But there's rules to keep up with the laws of these lands. You got to keep up.
We tried that Wesley did.
Well, Wesley was trying to pull some fast.
Trying not to pay.
Trying not to pay.
Wesley said, my religion said I don't have to pay.
Right. I said, okay.
We're showing you your religion.
We're going to show it to you. They must have started out with yesterday. This heathen ain't wasn't born last night. It may have been at night. But they've been around a long time. Let's get it.
Verse 7. Render therefore to all their due.
Right.
Tribute to whom tribute is due. Custom to whom custom. Fur to whom fur. Honor to whom honor.
Now understand what the Most High said in this verse here. This is all what we call free will. It said render to them who's due. Tribute to who? Look, first we render tribute to the Most High. Because it's due us according to Ecclesiastes. All of it. So we do that trip, honor to whom, custom who. Our custom, our thing, who we are first, always, to the Jew first and then the Gentile. But if their customs intercede and cause a problem for our relationship with the Most High, you got to eradicate that out of your life. Because light and darkness need to dwell together. Let's get it. Where we at?
Verse 8. Owe no man anything.
Do what?
Owe no man anything.
Right?
But to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
So we see that Paul was getting down into the law. He backed it up with this thing. Owe no man nothing. See, the Most High said we don't owe him nothing. This is free will. Everlasting life is a gift, ain't it?
Yep.
But if he say you take this gift, you owe me to pass it on. That's all you owe me. There's nothing coming out that's going to cause you a problem with life itself. What I'm asking you to pay back. A gift, you just pass it along. Somebody give you a card and all. Do you take the card from the next person you walking out with it? Or do you give it away? Some things, though, that's what we're talking about consciousness, even to that level. Let's get it. We're going to first before that.
Yeah, verse 9. For this thou shalt not commit adultery.
What you do?
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
So we get back to what the Most High is saying. Tribute to who?
Yeah.
All of them have to be tribute. Because we started off verse 1, it says there of the power of God. What you got, bro? We're in Romans chapter 13.
Verse 9.
Verse 9. So right here we're seeing we're getting right back to the law of God. The same laws they have, and they explain them the same way. They use the second definition more than the spiritual definition. Let's get it.
Romans 13 and 9. For this thou shalt not commit adultery.
What should you do?
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right.
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
See, and that covers all 613 because if you don't want this, you don't want that. You don't want this, all of them cover all of them. You don't want to go out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Verse 10. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law.
See, love, and see, they're trying to say, well, that's the love. They'll throw this on you a lot. This is one that almost got me in trouble from when I was doing what's called that competition scrap. If you find that in that, I'll lick the bottom of your shoe. If you find love is the law. The other dude said, well, Romans chapter 13, verse 10, and they read that. Only thing saved him, he didn't say it. Somebody else said it. Or this
Look at you. You got it.
wrong.
You got
Hey,
You got a body.
because I said if he finds it.
Right.
But it still didn't mean the love that they were talking about because it goes back up and tell you the love is not to do these things.
Thou shalt not, right.
Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill.
Right.
But at that point, I couldn't backtrack, so I quit all that competition scripture. Y'all got to quit it, you know. And then I'm telling you, if I'm dead wrong, you can believe life in the strike. No, you can't do none of that. Let it be yea, let it be nay.
Yeah, some people studied up in that weekend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They'll call you on it. You get caught slipping.
Boy, sitting up there with them 13s on, look like they've been walking through junkyard rocks. Let's get it, where we at? Who's that question?
So basically, when people say love your neighbor, it's basically just to follow his commandments, not to do that to the next person, the neighbor.
Right, a neighbor will be anybody keeping the laws, statutes, and judgments and commandments of the Most High. That's your
Not just
neighbor.
next door.
It's spiritual first, and then it's carnal second. See, if you and the Israelite is walking, and he trying to coax you into robbing a bank, and there's a Gentile side, I tell you, son, don't do so quickly, y'all Israel. Don't do that. You good. And you listen to him, then that's your neighbor, because he's keeping you from shedding innocent blood. And I know it's rough, this law that we under, the po-pos riding, and sometimes they're being illegal. But y'all just think about if it wasn't nothing. Think we go to work? If you mad now because next door sitting on the porch and all your stuff on and they ain't seen nothing, think about it in your So,
every word.
Street y'all will be ruling. Let's get it.
Yeah. Verse 11. And that knowing the time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
See that y'all gotta come out of this dead unconsciousness.
For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
See, y'all, it's closer than we think, y'all. Y'all see it happen. Y'all see it right before a major parade gonna go on tomorrow. For the unrepentant sinners of that sin. But they call it pride. Ezekiel 28:12 told us that was one of Satan's downfalls. Pride was found in thy heart. So we have to understand you can have damnable pride.
They call it gay pride.
Verse 12. The night is far spent. The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light.
Right.
Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting, and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy, but put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Y'all understand that? Make not provisions for the flesh. Don't set aside time to do wickedness. Make provisions for the flesh. Yeah, dog, it's going to be on after the Bible study. What? Now, how you going to concentrate thinking about that? No. Because you got curses and blessings coming out of the same mouth. We go into 1 Peter. And y'all, while we are talking about the laws of the land, y'all understand. The majority of these laws, you may not like some of them, but most of them are voluntary. The ones that they put in place as an ordinance, if you don't do them, they pretty much are dealing with violence, rudeness, and rioting. Those that they would do those things for. Whatever you're doing. Drunk driving and all that, those laws are put there. If you don't do that, look. I heard a comedian say, get in the car and then start drinking. By the time you get where you're going, then you be drunk and then you'll be drunk driving. No, you can't do that either, but they have laws in place for that so that you don't kill somebody else. They run tests. And they know what it's like when you get past the limit, but the Most High is telling us to stay sober, mentally sober. And the only thing that can make you mentally drunk is to allow overbearing of anything. Y'all, you can't drink too much water. There's something called water intoxication. You can wash all the nutrients out of your body. All the, what's that in bananas? Potassium. And you will cramp up and receive a heart attack. No, it's a limit for everybody. 8 glasses a day may not be good for somebody on their way above 5.
That's why I say too much of anything is kids.
We're in 1 Peter.
1 Peter, chapter 2.
Now, did you want to read anything out of that one first?
Nah, you want me to go on you right to it.
1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 1.
Yeah.
1 Peter 2 and 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice.
Laying aside what?
All malice.
See, when they say all malice, any beef that you got, y'all, we got to try to lay that aside because it's peace. Y'all, like we said before, a gold without a plan is a witch. So, if you have wrath in your mind all the time, then you can't practice for peace. You don't know what peace is. Yo, it said be angry and sin not. Yeah, you're going to get mad about time, but you're going to be mad righteously. And when an iron fist is put down, it's done righteously. Ain't no repercussions behind it. Go ahead, where you at?
Verse 1. Wherefore lay aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisy and envies and evil speech.
See, once you get that out of the way, if you lay aside all malice, that little beef you got ain't about nothing. And all guile is that slick talking. You know, got something over here, share it with you until it's on the 10 and then slide you a 4.5. I'll explain that later, some of you. Go ahead. And hypocrisy. And that's saying I don't do something and you shouldn't do it either. And then catch you practicing it regularly. Double mind. And envy. Every time somebody gets something, you smile, but you can't stand it. That nigga always so listening. It's nice, dog. And all evil speaking. Always got something bad to say about something. You know, say you working out there crying, but I heard the nigga like to drink a lot. Just evil speaking right behind. So you then forgot about it. You know, that's good, bro. Been trying to get out there. You know, now you concentrating on, you know, where he at with his cabinet members. Let's get it.
First Peter 2:2. As newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby.
See, we got to desire the sincere milk first. We got to take it from ground one. And the first thing you do is to believe. You know, a baby believes first because they trust. They ain't got no other choice but to believe. You're the only thing they can take care of. So unlike Anna, we got to believe from a child's perspective that the Most High will do everything for us. That's why we lift our hands up like a baby. Pick me up. You know, when you pray. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 3. If so be ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious.
See, if we done tasted that, all of that, somebody in here know that you alive because it was the Lord. I know that I was supposed to be dead. I was at death's door. Let's get some more.
Verse 4. To whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God and precious.
We got Israelites that's disallowed. Saying he was made like we were in a sense of sinful flesh.
Last one.
No. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifice acceptable to God by Jesus Christ.
This is a new order. This is Melchizedek. This is a priesthood. All of us are priests. We brethren, but we priests. Now, ain't no Levitical order no more. It's not going to one tribe for anything. Judah got the scepter, so to speak. And Levi is amongst Judah. But we just holding it till Christ comes. Who's the chief priest? They say until Shiloh come, didn't it? What you got, brother?
When they say offer up spiritual sacrifice.
Spiritual sacrifice is like without nobody, you ain't got to see nothing to do right. Like if you see a nice looking lady or when you see a nice looking man, you ain't undressing them in your mind. You spiritual sacrifices, you making atonement for yourself in your consciousness. See, that's first where you ain't got to worry about nobody have to see you do right. It's what Paul's speaking of in 1 Corinthians 13 about charity. It's true offering up sacrifices. If I give this person this, I'm not looking for accolades, I'm not looking for nothing back. My left hand don't know what my right hand is doing. But it's doing righteousness, but it ain't looking for no get back. It ain't looking for nothing I can hold over your head. You remember that time when you was hurt? No. You can't throw that in nobody's face. And that's not a spiritual sacrifice. That was gaining some points for later on. So that's what it's saying. Let everything, you don't have to, let nobody see it, you pray. Spiritual sacrifice, you praying in your heart before you just, when you see everybody in the room here, you come in. I want to stick you over my head. Using words, vain sit down and take part. No. That is the spiritual sacrifice. It's just saying offering up. It says keeping of the law is sacrificing nothing. Let's get it.
Also, right down to Romans 12. Go back and forth with Daniel saying Romans 12 about the sacrifice. Romans 12, 1 and 2. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
You hear that? Go ahead, man.
Holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, that acceptable and perfect will of God.
Y'all see that? So that's that spiritual sacrificing that he's speaking of here. And when you're thinking like that all the time, you're going to have some peace in your life. And the pain that do come, you know where it's coming from. You know how to deal with it. Because you understand the spiritual nature of what Christ is trying to say. He said you got to defeat these things.
What's that? You're being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Going back what you was talking about, intent.
That's right.
Really the intent of your heart.
What's the intent? Why are you really doing this?
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to first put it to you back and something I know you did. I was going to ask you, why did you get up and go east side this morning? That was your choice. You wanted to do that. You could have stayed in bed, watched cartoons, and ate a bowl of cereal. Waiting for class, but you went over there because that's something that you wanted to do.
Right.
Regardless of the fact that it was going on or not, you got out of bed this morning because you already knew this was happening and you wanted to be a part of it. That's what I was going to say. Look at the example of something you already did. You sacrificed that yourself. You could have been doing anything, but you chose to do that for work of the Lord.
That's right. Let's get it where we're at.
Verse 5, 1 Peter 2 and 5. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifice acceptable to God by Jesus Christ. Wherefore it is contained in the scripture. Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded.
That's clear as a bell.
Verse 7. Unto you therefore which believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. And a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word. Being disobedient.
Being what?
Disobedient. Whereunto also they were appointed.
See, the key word is being disobedient. You got to be disobedient to something for this wrath to come upon you. And the only thing listed is the same laws that's been there from day one, from the beginning. They've been there. They went through different orders for different time periods, but it's the same law. The only thing switches is the high priest. Back then it was Aaron and his lineage as high priest. And they could only come not out of all Levi. It was just out of the seed of Kohath. His seed was the high priest. Or what we call the congregation of the elders.
That lineage.
And they had the first one.
Right, and under the order of Melchizedek is the 144,000. Or the congregation of the elders, and then we have the congregation of Israel that we are part of, because it said these are without fault. They have no guile in their mouth. They ain't never said it could work. That could be still one of us. Guile means you hustle. You know that what you are selling to this person is a hustle game. This guile has got trickery in it. No guile found in their mouth, and they're all male virgins. I mean, they ain't never entertained a spiritual doctrine and been a part of one. That could be some of our children here being raised in the truth right now. They ain't been a part of what we call organized religion. But the key word to that is organized. One thing about them, they're going to be in order with their lack of knowledge. We got to make sure we go in order low keepers. Because it warns us about being out of order, and you know the order. It's saying you're worse than them. They have organization to their knowledge, or lack of knowledge, I should say.
Structure.
We can say we law keepers and then be totally out of order in everything we do. That's 1 Corinthians 5:29. Tell you, if a brother is not, you check him if he climbs. Just because he know he Israel, you check him first. Where we at?
Verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation.
What are we?
A chosen generation. A royal priesthood. A holy nation.
Right.
A peculiar people.
Right.
That ye should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
So wherever we at, we have to show this royal priesthood. Because all the nations are watching. You saying you an Israelite and you clowning, there's going to be some problems.
Y'all write down Exodus chapter 19, verse 1 through 6. It's the same thing the Lord told Moses to tell the children of Israel when we received the law of the mount.
That's right.
You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. Exodus the 19th chapter, verse 1 through 6. Also Exodus the 24th chapter as well. Deuteronomy chapter 7.
I'll get all that. Lays it on the line without a doubt who Peter was speaking to it this morning.
Yeah. Verse 10. Which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of God, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul.
See, so when it's talking about spiritual sacrifices, fleshly lust, or you try to prove to somebody you righteous by what you got on. You wear a robe with fringes on it. But the Most High say, I'm looking at the inside. I don't look at the outside. Men do that. That's why Hebrews 7 chapter say he was not of an endless law, a carnal law, but a law after everlasting. So y'all, that's the order we need to be chasing and get practicing for and planning for. And the only way you can do that is to understand these statutes, judgments, and put it in a place where Christ comes in here and worthy of what's been granted him by all of the prophets written. And what the Most High said that he would do and bestow upon him. Something that he already had before we ever thought of at the beginning. Like he speaks of in John chapter 14, give me my glory that I had at the beginning, before the world was. Let's get some more of this.
Verse 12, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles.
What it's got to be.
Honest among the Gentiles.
You got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove.
That's right.
That's why you got to know when you go up into court. If you don't know the whole story, or you don't know this, it tells you never swear. When they put the Bible out there, I affirm that I will tell the truth as best I can acknowledge. If you swear, it's a binding oath. And when they get you to swear, if you lie in court, then there's something called perjury. But understand what they are giving you to put your hand on. What they giving? They ain't giving you the moving scrolls and the mantle down. No, they know what they tell you. Put your hand on and make a solemn oath. And you ain't prepared when you go up in there. You think there's some kind of reality show up in these heathens' court system, the Sanhedrin? No, as Chad Ochocinco, if they play. No, we have to acknowledge that the Most High put them in that place to get us in order. Let's read some more.
Verse 12, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation.
Right.
Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man, for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors, as unto them that are sent by him, for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well.
you can go to if you're wrong. If somebody breaks in your house, if somebody murders your child, you can try to deal with it on the streets yourself. But if you do that, what's gonna happen?
You're gonna be under the jail.
You're gonna be under the jail. So you can't be under the law in that sense that where it rules over you. You have to know how to deal with it. It's gonna be some rough times in this land. People gonna do things to you, you're gonna wanna handle it in your own way. And if that's so, you choose to be prepared for the consequences. Well, yeah, now,
Verse 15. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free,
as what?
as free,
Right.
and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God.
See, you can't use because we Israel as a cloak of maliciousness. You can't go up in the court system to challenge. You know, I'm Israel. You better get down and lay down. You just kind of died and look over at Rusty the man and give him the no. Rusty do like that. Wait, there's some more foolishness. But y'all, we have to understand, it's their kingdom. It was given to them to rule until the time. The same way when Christ cast those demons out, and they say, have you come to torment us before the time? Cast us into the swine. So everything has its righteous time. We can't overpower this nation, or Christ's second coming prophecy goes void. If we take it. So ain't no need us praying on something that we think Judas Iscariot did that. Peter tried to rush it on. No, it's got its time cycle set. Go ahead, Malcolm.
Verse 17. Honor all men. Love the brotherhood.
Do what?
Love the brotherhood. Fear the Most High. Honor the king.
Right.
Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear.
That's what that mean, Malcolm.
We got jobs, don't we?
That's right.
Your boss, you got a boss, and you an employee. He plays the master, you play the servant. No, he may come off and say something to you, you like, well, look, I don't like the way you said that.
Right.
You still got to do what he told you, or what?
That's right. As long as he told you, by the employee handbook. You got to know that. You can't find out about the employee handbook after you can cuss them out. What you say that's at? Section 10. If any employee cuss the boss out, and tell him he can kiss where the sun don't shine, there's automatic termination. You have to know where you at and know what the rules are. Let's get it.
Not only to the good and gentle, but also to the poor. For this is thankworthy. If a man of conscience toward God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patient. But if when ye do well and suffer for it, ye take it patient. This is acceptable with God.
See, you're going to be falsely accused in this land because they still under two witness rule. If two people say, that's the one I saw crawling out of that window, you're going to be locked up for a minute. Unless it's some bail money. But you ain't going to get around this court system. It's set up to rule this land.
They call free cases.
Hey, you know they do that, but the evildoers assume Carter may not come when we wanted to, but you usually see that the whole RICO division of doing this, all of them brought down. We got to let out 6,000 people out of jail.
Right.
Anything tied to this case. It don't come when you want it to, but it will because the Most High said this word that it's going to fix evildoers.
It doesn't escape judgment.
They don't escape judgment because they lock Martha Stewart up. Now, they let you know, and that was just about $64,000. And she's a billionaire. So what they think you care about little Ricky around now? Where we at now?
Verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye should follow his steps.
Right.
Who did no sin.
Who did what?
No sin. Neither was guile found in his mouth.
And you see what it said, loving the brother and how righteous, there's no guile found in his mouth. Plus he did no sin. See, the 144,000, they're a little bit less than that. It didn't say none of them never did no sin.
Right.
It said no guile was found in their mouth. So if they sinned, they repented for it from a clean heart. Not because they got caught, but because it was recognized that they had broke the law.
Here, let me hit this car, because we read past it a few times, just so we don't have
We're going right to, he's going to hit that gal, John 19.
I'm almost done, I got 2 more verses.
Okay.
I'm almost done. You got to pull it up on the book.
What is that, bro?
I got the right one.
Probably in that strong
Verse.
Insidious, cunning, and entertaining.
What is that? What is that?
It's insidious, cunning, entertaining a goal, crafty or artful deception.
Right. Crafty or artful deception, the game. A snake move. That's what we put out on the street. When you say it like that, ain't it understood?
Yeah.
Verse 23. Who when he was reviled not again.
Right.
When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteous, who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree, that we being dead to sin should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes ye were healed. For ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned to the shepherd and bishop of your souls.
Right. That's our bishop. They took them stripes from us. Not Bishop Tutu.
Bishop Eddie Stone.
No. Let's get some John 19. Y'all, we just showing how Christ dealt with, and we're going to show in Acts 25 how Paul dealt with this Sanhedrin. Y'all have to understand. Whatever you do here, whatever happens, y'all, if we don't get entangled with the paperwork thereof, if an offense happens that caused their paperwork to be put in your hand, you're going to have to deal with it. And ain't no way, shape, form, or around it. If somebody wrongs you, you need to get back what they took from you.
Contract.
You got to go to the Sanhedrin and file paperwork. You can't go over there with a little deal smuggler. You can't. But it may be some problems. John chapter 19. Yeah, we can back it up. Start at 8. You want to start at 5? Okay, yeah, we'll start at 5. Let's start at 1. Run it.
John chapter 19, verse 1. Then Pilate therefore took Jesus and scourged him, and the soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put on him a purple robe, and he said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they smote him with their hands.
See, they working him over. They mocking him, push the crown of thorns down on his head, put him in purple because purple was royalty. And go ahead and read on Pilate. They mocking him a little taste. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Pilate therefore went forth again and said unto them, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him.
So right here, Pilate is saying, I ain't found nothing against him. And this is talking about when the Pharisees was accusing Christ of wrongdoing. Saying he was the Son of Man and a few other things they were trying to accuse him of. So they tried to use the court system to attack him. Go ahead.
Oh, can I, just 1 second.
Hey, somebody grab that juice out of that freezer.
When you read the story like, you know, you guys reading the lost books and everything about this. Pilate broke down our history as a people all the way back to the beginning and said that, you know, going through this whole process. See, this wasn't just, it's more to this as we read it here in the scripts, that he said to you, you guys, you know, have the God of the whole earth. This is your God. And every time you all as a people tripped and got in trouble, disobeyed him, you cried back to him and he forgave you. You guys went on and did it again. You turned back, cried to him, he forgave you. He said one reason why he said, I ain't found no fault in him is y'all.
That's right.
Y'all the ones that are tripping. And every time y'all trip, and that's the difference between us then and us today. The difference is we don't know who we are today as a people to turn back. That's what we try to do. But he broke it down all the way back to the beginning as a people to say, every time y'all trip, y'all turn back to y'all God and he forgive y'all. So this is, like I say, I ain't found no fault in him. What did he do? It's y'all the ones that's tripping.
Y'all wicked.
Right. Verse 5.
Go ahead, read on.
Verse 5. Then came Yeshua forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said unto them, Behold, the man.
See, so he come, and like I say, taking the mockery that they put on. Y'all know some of us that had that mockery shackled on going into before the Sanhedrin. So it ain't nothing new under the sun. He did the same thing. Or the same thing happened to him.
Lord was locked up.
Let's read some more.
Verse 6. When the chief priest therefore and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him, crucify him.
Now who was the chief priest?
Y'all people. The sellouts of our people.
That's right. Hollering, crucify him. Let's read some more.
Pilate said unto them, Take ye him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him.
He like, if that's what y'all want to do, go ahead. Go do y'all dirt. But I'll let y'all know this blood ain't on my hands. Go ahead.
The Jews answered him, We have a law, and by our law he ought to die, because he made himself the Son of power, the Son of God. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he was the more afraid.
And because he had heard about the miracles that was going on, he like, oh, this the man? This the one that y'all gonna get me out of
Right.
So he became more afraid because he's scared not like this in his heart.
Right. He caught in the middle.
Done. Let's get some more.
Verse 9. And went again into the judgment hall, and said unto Jesus, whence art thou? But Yeshua gave him no answer.
See, a lot of times you're watching the first 48, keep your mouth closed.
Right. Can't you see him saying, I'm trying to.
Keep your mouth closed. Listen to what's being said. Be it and observe before you get to running off.
Before you call on a lawyer that you might not even need. But once you say that, you're going anyway.
Right. And see, all of us know, when them lights turn on behind you, you don't think about good things. You think about why are they doing this? And in your mind, it may be 12 or 11 things in that running around. Damn, could this be? I bet. And you think, but if it ain't none of that, it's going to be something where you will worry. No, I wouldn't worry that. You still got to go. You can't even argue and fight then if they say, look, we got to get this straight. But if you know, this is what the Most High said, you may have to go through this because we're in this kingdom. And it's the way they running things. We'll let you go if it checks out. Let's get some more.
Verse 10.
We're going to speed it up, y'all.
Then said Pilate unto him, Speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee?
Hold down, y'all. Go ahead. You know, I can have you crucified here. I can do all of this. You know, he pumping his power now. He heard about Christ and he thinking now.
You know, you're not speaking to me. Yeah, but you're not speaking to me.
Right. Like I say, like you want to try to communicate to him, I'm trying to help you. So you got to give me something to go on.
Let's see what Christ said.
Verse 11. Yeshua answered, Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Therefore, he that delivered me unto thee have the greater sin.
So right here, he told me like, look, you sent it to it. You think his power is you. No, this is prophecy going down. Yeah.
Can I read something just real quick to John 18, chapter back? Can I write this down? John 18, verse 33.
Let's just backen it up a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. 33 to 37. Just real quick, we kind of go a little deeper into the conversation, try to elaborate. John 18 and 33. Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again and called Yahushua and said unto him, Art thou the king of the Jews? Jesus answered him, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Thine own nation, and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight me, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice.
Boy, that was very powerful. It's got clear, and that's what made him, when we got into 19, tremble the more. He was trembling in because he was speaking with authority. Crucifying on the line, and he's speaking like this, but when he asked him, he answered powerfully. You know, in like manner, you have to ask. I mean, if anything's asked of you and you're down for this word's sake, you have to add, you have to answer according to the word. And he knew the power that Pilate was given from his father. He couldn't start a revolution. Christ wasn't going to do that because our time period in this land, we had thousands of years to still go. He couldn't teach revolution. He wasn't teaching revolution against what the Most High set up.
He had an order to follow.
Did we finish that? Okay. 19, where we at on that? Verse 12.
Yep, John 19, verse 12.
Well, that's all. Oh, yeah, verse 12. That's where we stop. Okay. Just the 12. We're going to move on. We have rather short on time. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And from thenceforth Pilate sought to release him. But the Jews cried out, saying, If thou let this man go, thou art not Caesar's friend.
Now, you see what he doing?
Yeah.
Now he like, look, we got some connections with Caesar. We know the king, you just the mayor. Go ahead.
Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar.
Boy, y'all think this was a bootlicker supreme?
No.
They loving the king, Caesar. Y'all read the rest of that on your own time. We're going to get right to some more scripture right in hand. Exodus 9 and 16. And we're going to see again, and then we're going to get Romans 9, and we're just going to see why the Most High set powers up. Exodus 9:16. And let's just go with that John 11, we're going to hit that Romans 9, and it just going to clear up why he was born. Like the man that was born blind. He was born blind for the purpose that the Most High would heal him. They asked, why was it, who sinned? Which of this married man parent? He sinned, or which one sinned? That he was born blind. Christ said, neither has sinned. He was born blind that I may perform this miracle. He was set to be born at this time. Blind. Let's get it.
Exodus chapter 9, verse 16. And in very deed, for this cause have I raised thee up, for to show in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. As yet exalted thou thyself against my people, that thou wilt not let them go. Behold, tomorrow, about this time, I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as have not been in Egypt, since the foundation thereof, even until now.
See, and when he says, verse 16, I have raised you up that my name may be declared throughout all earth. Egypt was ruling the world like America is ruling the world. If Egypt said at that time, the God of the Bible is the God of all, the God of Abraham, he is God of the world. He is to be above all gods, like Nebuchadnezzar said. So at this point, this is why when we come to these lands, strange lands, we need to set an example as the light. Because he's going to judge this nation. And if they falsely accuse you or done some false things against you, just keep the faith, y'all. You ain't been forgotten. But it ain't nothing new under the sun. And we just want to hit a couple scriptures which show you other brothers went through sacrifices. Dealing with being in a strange land, a land that's not your own. Because we didn't like doing right when we was in our land. That's right. You know, we showed out. And we wanted to be like this land that we in. We begged to be like this. So he said, okay, I give you what you lusted for. But it's going to be different. If y'all read that whole chapter, in chapter 9, you see what the Most High is telling Pharaoh, I'm going to show you who God is. Because Pharaoh was risen up because everybody looked up to him. Every nation on earth. And if he accepted the Most High, then the whole world will bow down, that it's going to have to do anyway, according to Zechariah 14. Every nation got to come up and worship. And so Christ is saying, if you're amongst them, and you're keeping their statues with the Most High first, then they will see that light and say, oh, we in like matter. Just like Joseph, when a matter came up, they said it's a Hebrew. You had locked up for 2 years. So we know Joseph was cooling his heels for 2 years being locked up. And he was falsely accused being locked up. Y'all understand the reason he was locked up is because Pharaoh's wife said he tried to hit him. So let's move on. What you said, brothers? We finished that. Let's move on to Romans chapter 9. And what we're showing is why the Most High raised or put these nations in power. Y'all, this is what you have to understand too. Everywhere we did time for disobeying God, that nation ruled the world. When we was in Assyria, they ruled. When we were in Egypt, they ruled. Now we're in America, and who was their slave? And who ruled the world? Y'all know who run. 911, they said every plane get out of the sky. Every plane get out of the sky. Now y'all think that ain't ruling the world. The only plane that flew was they flew the Saudi prince back to Saudi Arabia under the president's order. So y'all have to understand, the Most High say, I'm raising up a power like that so that we don't overpower, and he comes back and put this nation beneath our feet. If we do it, we're going to end up over there in the Demona Desert with Benedict Carter. Living in them little shanty huts. Orange extension cords running from the building, they call it a dictatorship, with a Home Depot fence around it. That ain't the kingdom that's written in Revelation. What you got, brother?
like when the scripture say like daughter of Babylon, I understand like America, but like even like Rome and all that stuff are tied to America, their power.
Babylon is a system, not nation.
Not when they say the daughter of Babylon, it's not talking about this specific land mass of the United States. It's talking about
Yes,
They
it's
just
part of-
this number, yeah.
it's the revive, the daughter is the reviving of the old. And it's this whole new system.
You got a whole bunch of plays you gotta bring in the game.
Right.
You got London, you gotta bring in the play.
You gotta bring London
You gotta bring NATO in, the UN, the United Nations. You feel me? All this under the same. You look at the ancient map of the Roman Empire. That's all NATO, the UN, the EU. It's all that.
All of that.
You gotta bring all that
G20,
in play.
whatever
But
it
the
is.
United States is definitely a power, the top power structure of the battle.
They're the only nation on earth that's dropped nuclear holocaust on people. And that was hydronuclear.
Not thermal, huh?
They got thermo now. Thermo is 250 times what they dropped in Japan. A suitcase size, 2 kilotons, will do that 250 times. And it can fit in a suitcase. So you know the more they got to go into outer space and come back down, they're going to wipe half a continent out. But the Most High says, let's not shorten the days, they'll destroy everything on planet Earth. They ain't gonna get a chance to get along. What you got back there, sis?
The movie Asher, that's supposed to come out.
The movie, actually, I haven't heard any more about it. Huh? It hadn't come out? It's a movie about, somebody was talking about the Israelites that was out on the street corner. Somebody was going to do a movie about it. But they was going to show Israel in its worst state of knowing the truth. It was going to be surrounding the GMS boys who's out there cussing folks out, saying that no other nation can belong. Saying raping women is okay. You know. They tied to them. They still under the order of Aaron, so that's what that movie is going to show.
And I only brought it up to show about the coming persecution of the people of Israel.
No, yeah.
Right, well, it's going to come in every stage, but this is why we have to be, like Christ was telling us, when you're in this land, you have to deal with it so that you don't be brought up and looked at in that light. See, that's what they're going to attack. Anybody that says they're Hebrew Israelites, they're going to show the world this bad side first. Out there in Power Ranger uniform, hexagrams on, cussing women out, telling white folks to kiss their feet right now, and they're saying, if you hear this, look out for them ones to say that they belong to this group. So this is what this is coming at, persecution. That's why y'all, we try to get it, practice and preach that you preach the gospel of Christ first. And when you are landing on the line, somebody that's never heard it like that will say, you know what? I ain't never heard it like that, man. You really down with that. You did the studying, huh? You're like, it ain't me, I'm just a vessel. You know, I'm just passing the message on. But they say, well, so what doctrine do you know? Doctrine. Just practicing the gospel of Christ. Well, ain't no, we look at it from a nationhood perspective as the Bible preach about the nations of the world. It don't preach religions. And when I call it the Jehovah's Witnesses, that ain't in there. No, sir. And then the Muslims should come. No, that ain't in there. No, sir. And then the Baptist First Adventists. Right. And the True Methodist A&M on the road to Jericho. No, that ain't being called up. Not religion, but nations of people. So when we express it like that, then they automatically say, well, okay, you ain't part of what I saw on the news. That ain't you. You ain't part of that.
I just wanted to say to you all that because I have read these books and I know part of these stories, sometimes I blurt it out. Don't mean to. But like
We already
I
explained it, bro.
we must prove all things.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
So, but yeah, so that's why that movie is, when you see that, when it comes out, you're going to have to explain that this is not what we're talking about, this is a different gospel. This ain't the gospel of Christ. These are Israelites still under the order of Aaron. they're doing the same exact thing. They're not teaching Melchizedek. The Lord swore that Christ was coming after the order of Melchizedek. Psalm 110, Hebrews 7. So if you're teaching anything, or if your instruction of commandments are from Aaron, you're in line in the decrease. You pull them back off the cross. He ain't gonna make no another sacrifice. Either you with the program or you ain't. And if you don't get down, you're gonna lay down. Ooh, Christ. What you got back there, brother?
This kind of random question, I just want to know, who was ruling at the time of Christ? Who was the president? Was it Tiberius?
Who was ruling what?
Tiberius Caesar. I think it was. May have been. I don't know. We got to check it.
Okay, yeah. I was looking at my book, and I think it was Tiberius.
What's the deal with that? Oh, you just wanted to know who was ruling at the time?
Yeah, no, I was really looking pure wrong.
Yeah, I think it was Tiberius. We'll get to that.
Let's get it. I'm going to clear that up right quick. Look at what he's reading out of is the book of Jasher that's mentioned in 1 Samuel 1 and 18 and Joshua chapter 10. That's it right, 10 verse 13. It says, study and out of the book of Jasher. So that's mentioned in the Bible, that book is good to read or to study from. It fills in a lot of the blanks. And what he's reading right now, we read about, in the Bible it talks about Joseph being in prison. But the book of Jasher goes into detail, telling about how he was hanging out, you know, while he was doing that time on them trumped up charges, you know, and what happened is he showed some righteousness before he ever went to the king, and the dude forgot about him. He said, look, this is your dream. And he told the dream, he said, but remember me when you get to the king, tell him about what I did for you. And he got them goods, he forgot all about it. That's Joseph ended up doing some extra time. Go ahead and read what you got, bro.
The chapter I got is XLIV.
XLIV
44.
44.
I'm just going to start at 72 and just get to the meat of it.
Jasher, what?
44 verse 72.
Go ahead.
And what he's saying is that this is when Joseph, Potiphar was second in command, like the vice president to Pharaoh. And he put Joseph over his whole house.
Right.
Well, Potiphar's wife had a liking for Joseph, and she kept trying to come on to him, but he would not give in to her.
Y'all ever remember the video, remember the time when Michael Jackson? When he was in that, he was dancing before, and Eddie Murphy was the Egyptian, and Iman was the queen, and she was looking at him, and he could look at her until she was, you know, riding, so to speak, in her mind. Go ahead.
Okay, well, when Joseph was confronted with him by Potiphar with this, Joseph, verse 72, he says, and Joseph answered, saying, not so, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, my Lord, the word which thou didst hear from thy wife is untrue.
What he said was?
He said, the word that thou didst hear from thy wife is untrue.
Now think about this. Proverbs chapter 6 and 20 say, what ransom can you give a jealous man?
Nothing.
He knew what the deal was.
Yeah.
He saw how her eyes light up when Joseph walked in the room.
Yeah. Young
It's a Hebrew scrap.
Right.
Go ahead.
For thus was the affair this day. A year had elapsed to me since I had been in thy house. Hast thou seen any iniquity in me?
You see that what he's saying? He's like, look, I stayed at your crib for a year. I mean, you ain't saw none of this trumped up charge, this a trumped up charge, but how do you tell a man, no, it ain't me. Your wife lusted after me, it ain't me after her. Now how he the king, how he gonna accept that? He's still the king, what that's gonna do for everybody that's listening out there? And the king got that slave boy. The king got out tripping.
Right.
That's like when you hear these stories about you watch these TV shows and the woman in the $20 million house and Pepe the gardener is getting action.
Or anything which might cause thee to demand my life. And the priest said unto Potiphar, send, we pray thee, and let them bring before us Joseph's torn garment, and let us see the tear in it, and if it shall be that the tear is in front of the garment, then his face must have been opposite to her. And she must have caught a hold of him to come to her.
Y'all see what it's saying here? It's talking about they still had in evidence, just like they got Trayvon Martin jacket. They still had in evidence the jacket that Joseph had on that got tore, that he left because she was grabbing on. Come on, get come here, boy. And he snatched it up, and you know how to pull out of his shirt. They had that. And then since he didn't want it, she started lying. Oh, he broke up and then trying to rape me and sure did.
When you go back afterwards, they was beating. He got beat for it.
Go ahead, brother.
And with deceit did thy wife do all that she has spoken.
What did he say with what?
Deceit.
Now he's talking to the king. They're telling you. I don't want to tell you, king, but you went to this game.
Verse 75. And they brought Joseph's garment before the priests who were judges, and they saw, and behold, the tear was in front of Joseph, and all the judging priests knew that she had pressed him.
Y'all see that? They said the front was torn. You know, so they knew that she was pulling on his clothes. He wasn't pulling on hers, you know. Go ahead.
And they said, the judgment of death is not due to this slave, for he has done nothing.
Right.
But his judgment is that he be placed in the prison house on account of the report, which though through him has gone forth against thy wife. And Potiphar heard their words, and he placed him in the prison house, the place where the king's prisoners are confined, and Joseph was in the house of confinement 12
And
years.
see, y'all seeing where he was put in jail anyway because he made the accusation against the king's wife. You know, that was a cutting accusation, even though it was the truth. They ended up, he suffered a little bit, he had to suffer for that, but the Most High had his back. Like he'll have any of our back if we ain't done nothing wrong, y'all, and they get us, and then I tell you, your day gonna come. You know, so y'all, we have to clearly understand that even when you also read the book of Jasher when Jacob got married, and the custom of the people, because marriage is universal. It don't matter where you get married at in this land, that's your woman all over earth. The whole earth recognizes it. But at this time, when Joseph was getting married under Laban's custom, they were saying, Haylah, Haylah, that you can read in that book. And he was thinking, what they talking about? You know, maybe this just one of their customs. He's like, well, y'all gonna get through with that so I can get with my bride I've been working for 7 years. Okay? So he just saying, well, maybe that's just that custom of that. But the bottom line is it's gonna be sanctified very shortly. And that's what he was getting to. So y'all, sometimes, you know, there's different places we're going to be, and there's going to be customs under that, but certain things are universal according to the Most High. And that's, when you become one flesh with somebody, it don't matter where you are on planet Earth. That goes all over planet Earth, and every nation recognizes that. They may throw a monkey wrench in the program, but they don't deny. Go ahead, bro. Where you at?
I'm done with that.
Okay.
Find this over. Y'all go ahead.
Go ahead and find that. We're going to get on this. Y'all going to run out of time a little bit. Let's get to Romans chapter 9. And we want to see also right about verse 16. And it's going to prove Exodus 9. We just read that why the Most High raised kings up. And he raised them up just so that we'll understand who is the power, so that we won't get to be talking about like Egypt or something, that we're trying to compare that to the Most High. Man, they say Egypt was bad though now. You better watch yourself. You know, and we'll start there. You're like, man, that power came from the Most High. So y'all, we want to be careful that we're saying that Satan has power to come in and influence these nations. And he will. Like while Barack is over there visiting in Africa, he's also over there on this gay and lesbian movement as well. And offering some luxury if they'll get down with the program. It's running through France, just getting through Canada, it's in Israel. So y'all have to understand now the wilderness is the complete world. Right? And the whole world is becoming not just like Sodom and Gomorrah was. That was just a foreshadow of how big this one gonna be. This one is worldwide. They doing this all over the globe. And they legalize guess where is number one at? In our homeland. In Jerusalem is the gay capital. It's taken over. Let's get it. Where we at? Romans 9,
chapter
16.
9.
Y'all, we got long, just a couple more scriptures.
Verse 16. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth.
Till you back it up to verse 13. That's what you said.
13.
Yeah.
As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Right?
What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? God forbid.
Right?
For he had said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy.
Right?
And I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore have he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he harden.
That's right. So now, y'all, when we get to talking about the laws of the land, the seatbelt law and things like those are commanded laws of this land. Click it or tick. Is that an evil thing? Or are you in your mind saying, how they gonna tell me what the hell I can do when I'm driving my car? Well, what they're telling you is that the fact that the studies we do, that if you have a head-on collision, you coming out the windshield. That don't mean because you don't come out the windshield, you won't die, but you still get a second chance in life. Possibly, than if you don't have one on. We just seen that the boy running through the car and baby boy in the back seat, no seatbelt on. He running from the pole, got fly up, and the boy fly out the window. Out of the window, y'all. So those type of laws that the land have, they're not beating us down. The laws of like, you know, don't drink while you're driving them things because they done tests to say you're going to kill somebody. And if we do that, y'all, because first we ought to be in a sober mind. We ought to know that we can't get behind a machine with some keys in our hands and you know you can barely walk. You know. So those are the type of things, those are commanded laws, but there is no law in this land that commands us to sin. I want to be clear about that, y'all, so we understand that clearly. Just because they pass gay marriage, they do not command that it be done. It's still a choice. They're saying you can have unrepentant sin if you want to. It's legal in this land. But it's not a command. So there's a difference in understanding if that law should be obeyed. You're not obeying it if you're not down with it. It'd be a difference if they said, and every time you come down here to City Hall, if you are a man, it better be Leroy and Rufus, Bertha and Sally.
That would be them.
Those are the only way that you get married, and it's commanded. But what they're doing now,
They just legalized it.
all they did was
They're
legalize
okay.
sin. They okay your choice of sin,
Abominations.
but you're not commanded to accept it. And nowhere in anywhere is it written in any law that you have to accept that behavior. It's a way you have to present yourself when you say, I don't accept it. I'll tell you what, before I clock in, you tell me I got to do this. With him, I got to eat the same table with him. That's what you tell me. Yeah, you got to eat the same table we working here. Before I eat with a monkey, and you go off, you're going to be out the door. The deal is, however they present what they present to you, because they got diversity running through every job, you can tell them, according to the faith that I practice that's protected by your law, I can't participate in that. They just tell you, okay. Rufus, will you participate in the gay and lesbian walk? Sure, I will. But your rights are protected as well of what you believe, y'all. It's just how you present it and how you say it. Because once they say, if you say it a different way, it's like saying if they say nigga, we're going to look at it as like you hate and everything like that. They say we're going to lock you up. So y'all, we got to be wise. I want to hit a little bit of this Acts 25, y'all. We're going to close out shortly. And I'm going to tell you how Paul dealt with situations when the Sanhedrin said, either you do this or you stop preaching the word. Now, to get down to that, even if they say stop preaching the word, we got to say, no, we can't obey you on that. We cannot obey the law according to that. If y'all put that in the law, no more Bible reading, we're all going to jail.
We also obey God rather than man.
Right, we going to jail. So we already made up our mind. We going to jail. So, yeah, that's right, that's right. We're going to hit this Matthew 4:17, then we're going to get Acts 25, y'all, we're going to close out. But this is getting right to the point of it, y'all. And understand these things. When you say God made a product that was seed bearing, I should be able to do that. I can disobey the law of that. No, you can't. Because even with that, the Most High had rules and regulations with that. If you say because God said I can have every seed bearing earth, these people can't tell me what I can do. I'm going to go and put it in the air. So, but how they gonna tell me I can't? They never told me you couldn't fully. They told you that there was a limit. We better not catch you with. Just like there's a limit of alcohol better not be open in your car when we pull you over. Just like there better not be more than 30 Oxycontin in that prescription bottle we got right there for that toothache.
Not saying you can't have it.
Not saying you can't have it, but the problem is Missouri is the most strictest in that, and we don't know the laws of the land concerning that. So yet we'll throw the Bible out there and say, this rule, you can't tell me I can't do that. They're going to lock you up until a cause can be made. But because they're legalizing same-sex, that's going to open the door for bestiality. And to satisfy the so-called biblical people or those that say what God made is right, we're going to open up a door for you. We're going to legalize marijuana throughout the whole nation. France doing it, everybody going to do that. Y'all cool with that? Not just that alone. Okay, we're going to put polygamy on the books here. You're going to have no more baby mamas.
Nurse mouth.
No more baby mamas. So it's done. That's coming too. Right, so, but that's what they're going to do to try to make the thing even for you to accept bad behavior. And we can't accept it, y'all. We have to we can't lash out and say this because everything we say concerning it, repent for the time is at hand. That goes for all sins in the Bible. Not just for that, but for all sins. So we have to paint it with the same brush and say Christ gave no real accusation. There ain't nothing you got. You can't curse them out and then try to bring them into the light. Right. Look at you. Look at you. You split on one leg. Look at you. God don't like that. How you gonna say all of that? You didn't say, come on in and enjoy what I mean. No, you got to look. If you don't repent for that, there's nothing but death left for you. That's flat out. That's for anything. The dead man walk. Let's get it. Where we at?
Daniel chapter 4.
What we say, 17? No, that's Daniel first, and then we're going to hit that Acts. That Daniel going to close up just a little bit more dealing with the Sanhedrin, y'all. Y'all, we got to understand that. The laws they are bringing to you are the laws of the Most High. They've just been manipulated by man. And they add to them, and they add their own. But just like the Most High say, if you touch a child, it's better that you had not been born. This nation say the same thing. You touch a child, we're going to put it on you. We're going to lock you up, and we're going to let everybody in the community know you like to touch children. It's like, what's the boy name? Sandusky. That's right. Yeah. Right. We're going to lock you up. Y'all, we have to understand they locked up John Gotti. They locked up, what's her name I just said? Martha Stewart, and she's a billionaire. Al Capone died in the penitentiary. So they don't care nothing about if you're saying they just locking up us. Yeah, they doing it at a higher rate for a commodity because we slaves. The only difference is they get the same amount. You still a slave in there or out. But the difference is you want to be out and deal with it a little bit different. Hey, let's move on. Where we at?
Daniel chapter 4.
That 4:17 get right into it?
Well, we just mentioned that. We just mentioned that. Go ahead, just 4:17. But when he's speaking of a 6th chapter, when as they told Daniel, it's been put in the law. When you hear this horn sound, you got to bow down. This is worship to our God. Daniel said, I ain't gonna do that. And they told on him. Just like it's coming to this land. Y'all got to bow down. The Antichrist is here. No. And you got to say no. But you know how some of these people are going to be faking like they died this shit. What's that? I can't hear you.
They do the same thing that Scott's Air Force Base.
What they do?
Where, I think it's a certain time, like some alarm will go off and everybody, all the cars will stop and everybody will get out. Yeah, get out and salute to the flag.
And that's
on the base.
third Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Where you read that now?
That's the 3rd chapter of Daniel.
3rd chapter of Daniel, where Uriah speaking of that, where they tried to order that in this Acts 25 to match up with that. And you see Paul has said the same thing. He's just telling you to be wise like Christ said. Look, y'all gonna be scattered. And when you scatter, your law ain't gonna be there. I'm not gonna send you, in the sense like where it's right there for you to defraud it again. But it's going to be there as a comfort for you, but you're going to have a different rule with your law. And it ain't going to be good because they're going to exact punishment on it. Just like Deuteronomy 20:18. When they say just us, that's what they mean, just us. Let's get it.
Daniel chapter 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men.
What do they want to know? Read that again.
That the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men.
See, so no matter what the deal is, your mindset can't go past who the chief ruler is. Right. But you have to respect that courtroom. When you come up in there and they say, take their hat off, where do you think that started? What do we do down here? Where do you think they get that from? It's an assembly. You in an assembly, pull that hat off, man.
Yeah, and when they say all rise, you just sit there, see what happens.
Right. So we have to understand that the Most High saying these things are put in place to control evil means. Everybody that's in there, majority of them are in there for doing something that we can find in the Bible. Or you've been misaccused of it or falsely, but they got things working like that. They got groups out there now, DNA people, they let out hundreds of Hebrews. They've just been pointed out. There he is right there. No DNA they checked on me. But these groups are out there, and these are people that the Most High is using to say, we knew you didn't do it, but the debt was stacked against you. Now you out, they're going to give you a little paper, but you done lost 20 years of your life like that. You know. But that's what we suffer because we didn't want to do right at home. So we ain't got nobody to blame. Everywhere we was captive is because we wanted it. We don't want to do right at home. And no matter how we keep doing wrong at home, your parents throw you out. And when you say my mind is clear, they let you come back. Unless you cross the line of no return. Let's get it, where we at?
Finish 17. To the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomever he will.
What he do?
Giveth it to whomsoever he will. And setteth up over the basis of men.
Read that again.
And setteth up over it the basis of men.
You know what the basis of men is? The lowest thing was the low down dog. We look at a bomb, it's Illuminati, dog. But he's ruling over this nation that God has put us captive here for. This nation still going to be judged. And the only way he can judge it is by what? His law. His law that they agreed to that they're breaking. You got my children there, you know you ain't supposed to be doing that. Oh all that lynching and castrating.
So how do you equate that saying by what you just said by Obama is ruling over this? What did you specifically mean by saying Obama?
Well, what I'm saying is this, when he's ruling over this nation, the laws that he'll put forth, clearly knowing that signing this law into don't get rid of it, to saying it's okay for two men to marry. He's clear, he's what scripture says. He's base man, meaning that his mind is gone below normal. It's almost reaching reprobate state, that he's on a tour now to promote this same activity all over the world. So now he's become a base man of where everybody had him on the level of the Messiah when he was elected 8 years ago. Now he's a base man. Don't nobody like him. What you got, brother?
First and foremost, let me give honor to God who gave my life.
That's right, brother.
Blessed to be here. I was reading chapter 1 in Daniel prior to this, and
Hold down, y'all.
Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, they invited them to the king's meeting. They were to eat with the king.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So Daniel was like, I don't have to partake within the king, whatever he appoint to men, I don't have to partake in it. And the eunuch, the king's eunuch, right hand man, he's like, text me, show me, Shadrach, Abednego, that our appearance would be more better than whoever partake of the king's meat.
Right.
After 10 days.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, even though a ruler, a king of this land, we don't have to partake in what he appoints.
Absolutely. You don't have to. Didn't have to partake in his meat, but the order was, if you don't eat it, you're going to die. So the eunuch was saying too, though, you're going to get me killed, though. He said, well, look, I can't put your life in jeopardy about what I believe is well, because I have to still be a light to you. I tell you what, you just bring fruit in here. Posts, and soups and stuff. He said, and I'm telling you, he like, look, man, you ain't gonna be as healthy as you are unless you eat some pork chops.
Right.
So he was like, he said, I'm telling you, when you eat it and it's for the Lord, I'm not gonna put your life in danger because you have to report back to the king. He said, I'm telling you, when I eat these cracker sandwiches and syrup sandwiches, I'm gonna be as healthy as you.
Great Lord means it's going to turn
Faith too. Right. So and that faith was there, that when they saw him, his face was shining, they like, oh, he must be gobbling up some of the king's meat too.
Right.
But that was a deal where the king sent him, go to him, if he ain't eating, I'm killing you and him. So he like, Daniel, please, you got to eat it, he gonna kill me too. Daniel like, look, the Lord already spared me, and you. Look, bring me them fruit trays over there. And I'll get busy with him, and you're gonna see the difference when you come back. So and it was, and when he reported Daniel brought there, he was shaking a little tight, and he's like, look, yeah, oh yeah.
But God just revealed to me, like, you really ain't got to partake in it.
You don't
because somebody
see
in the board or something, somebody's ruling something, and they make a law or make this, you ain't got to partake in that.
Right, you don't have to, because those are choice laws. When it gets down to when they command, then that's where the point is, do we believe man or do we believe God? Or who are we going to be at this point? When they say, you need to bow down to him.
Right.
And if you say, who, that wicked sinner? Yes, that wicked sinner. You need to drop on your kneecap and bow to him. We can't. At that point, you have to say, y'all, I'll see y'all later.
Right.
I'll see y'all later. I'm on my way out. Right. Let's get y'all where we at. Verse 24.
I'm gonna go Daniel same chapter, verse 24. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my Lord the King, that they shall drive thee from me, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven. And 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will.
And this was the deal when Nebuchadnezzar, the Most High, punished him, reduced him to like Saddam Hussein, was in that rat hole, and come out looking like he had been shaved and groomed in a decade. That's when he was reduced to a base man, when he put him back over his kingdom. And we being royal priests, and we read that 1 Peter, we are in base man-like state with our mindsets today. because we sinning presumptuously. Know what's wrong, and we just doing it. We're playing Russian roulette with ourselves. We're trying to half repent for it. We got to change our mindset. We got to we still intoxicated with foolishness. And we got to change that spiritually and consciously, that we don't continue to break his law presumptuously, because what are you practicing for but the lake of fire? If we keep practicing that, we got to plan for the kingdom, and that means love your neighbor as you love yourself. Let's get it. Let's look at Acts 25, y'all. We're gonna read these two, y'all gonna get on out of here. And this is all locked up. We're gonna hit 25. We're going to hit right, we're going to skip through 25, but I want to get right to the point, because there's something good here too, of that Paul was opening up the door where a lot of Israelites teach that it's not open to no other nation. But King Agrippa is going to say something to him, and he's going to respond a certain way to let us know that's not absolutely true. It's to the Jew first, and then the Gentile. But anybody that accepts the will of God, we got to open that door. Because those who was calling crucified Christ, who was?
Israelites.
Israelites. And Pilate was going to say, I don't see no fault in it. But we calling the most. Why? Because he breaking up that hustle game.
Man, that's when you catch the most hell from. You go out to the streets, all right. You don't never argue with white folks. Like, they don't even argue.
Right. They don't even argue.
They'll say amen, brother.
But it makes sense.
That's true.
Y'all. And what we're saying is just try not to make it, even like all these boys just getting these record deals. What's taking everybody down?
Taxes.
Taxes.
Fat Joe just let.
But see, it's the contract that you sign that you don't know. When you're looking at it, they say, okay, it's $1 million. I get $500,000, you get $500,000. But the taxes that come out of your $500,000 are both yours and mine. So now you got $100,000. And you done already bought all this stuff, and the tax man steady rolling it up. Lauren Hill just got it. Red Fox, they take it all back from you because of that, but there's brothers that know how to play the game. You know, it's like that movie you ever seen, The King of New York. The king of this nation. Like he told the boys in the park, he said, the nickel bag sold. And this is what this nation is saying. If you pass this legal tender around, these dead presidents I won't eat.
The boy you just mentioned, Al Capone, tax evasion.
Right.
They knew all the people he killed, all the criminal empire that he ran, but you didn't give us our taxes.
It's only if you don't deal, all you do is watch money come up that you can't spend. All you do is take everybody shopping, take them out to dinner, and ride around the neighborhood in fancy cars with wheels this big. Just hurling things out. But you don't go no further. You on the 40 in Chesterfield and that, you sitting up Hey, and then Mercedes Benz sitting in front of Big Mama house with his rack kit and everything on, and Big Mama on Social Security. Ain't no Big Mama. Hard on that. Come on, y'all. They ain't new to this game. This is a superpower. Let's get it. Where we at?
Acts chapter 25, verse 7. And when he was come, the Jews which came down from Jerusalem stood round about, and laid many and grievous complaints against Paul.
See, who laid these complaints?
Israelites. It's all Greek.
Israelites again, up in the court system. Go ahead.
Which they could not prove.
What they could do what?
Not prove. Now they bearing false
It's
witness.
about that bearing false witness. So this is what the scripture says, let no man judge you. If they can't prove nothing, there can be no judgment against you. But a false judgment. Let's read some more.
While he answered for himself, neither against the law of the Jews, neither against the temple, nor yet against have I offended anything at all.
So the more he started with the first. I ain't offended the law of the Most High. You see where your mindset got to be first? Nor against the temple. Nor against Caesar. He kept the order like it's supposed to go. I ain't seeing neither way. Go ahead.
But Festus, willing to do the Jews a pleasure,
What was he willing to do?
to do the Jews a pleasure, answered Paul and said, wilt thou go up to Jerusalem, and there be a judge of these things before me?
And there, read that again.
And there be judge of these things before me.
Right.
Then said Paul, I stand at Caesar's judgment seat, where I ought to be judged. To the Jews have I done no wrong, as thou verily well knowest.
So right here, Paul is saying, look, I'm a Roman citizen like we American citizens. We Israelite tribal or the fourth tribe, too. Right. But we American citizens as all. When the censorship comes down and says this is the nation that's responsible for your captivity. And Paul was saying the same thing. Look, I need to be judged by this, nation. Right. And this is what they said about Snowden, the boy to give up all his secrets. They're like, send him back so we can judge him by our law. It's a traitor.
Look, he knows what he did. They done revoked his passport.
Yeah.
Now he out there nationless. They got nowhere to go.
And they get no paper. I'm going to tell them what y'all been looking at. We know they've been watching us the whole time. They watch you every time you're watching cable. It's a two-way system.
Whoa, say that again.
It's a two-way system.
People know
they can get right on your computer when they say the PC, give me control. You're going to see a box that pop up say allow. Right. You click on allow, the mouse starts moving and going to different things, and you looking like it's magic. Right. You don't think they do that same way with cable TV? You sitting there scratching and smelling your fingers, they like, look at this.
Verse 11. For if I be an offender or have committed anything worthy of death, I refuse not to die.
You see what he's saying? I refuse not to die. It is like the thief on the cross who told Christ. He said, look, I'm up here. My hands were swift on pickpocketing. But you ain't done nothing, I know it. But remember me. The other thief over there like, man, he can let us go. He steal too much. Hell, like you can get 20 wallets. Let's get it. What else to say?
But if there be none of these things whereof these accuse me, no man may deliver me unto them. I appeal unto Caesar.
See, so now he knows the law of the land.
Yeah, right.
Y'all can't send me nowhere else. Look, if y'all try to extradite me to Jerusalem to face these wolves, then I appeal to Caesar.
Right,
y'all know the rules.
Right.
And that's the same appeal process that you get now. Right. Same, I'm appealing to a higher court.
Waive extradition.
Go ahead.
Then Festus, when he had conferred with the council, answered, Hast thou appealed unto Caesar shalt thou go.
So right there, he said, okay, you know the game? That's where you go. It's like when you watching First 48. They always tell you to keep your mouth closed. A man that is his own lawyer got a fool for a lawyer. Look, unless you know these laws, statutes, and judgment that you are really going to put yourself, when they say a certain word, it don't mean what we think. When they say habeas corpus, no, this ain't no drunk dead person that off the line. This means something else in the court of law. So y'all, we have to understand, if you're not down with that, you'll say the wrong words and you can put your hand on that and scroll. There you go. That's the oath you made with them. Let's get some more. Where we at?
Verse, is it 12? No, 13. And after certain days, King Agrippa and Bernice came unto Caesar.
To Caesarea.
To Caesarea to salute Festus.
Right.
And when they had been there many days, Festus declares Paul's cause unto the king, saying, There is a certain man left in bonds by Felix.
See, he was left in bonds. Where he at? He's still in jail, man.
The joint. Locked up.
Let's get it.
About whom, when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews informed me, desiring to have judgment against him. To whom I answered, It is not the manner of the Romans to deliver any man to die. Before that, he which is accused have the accusers face to face, and have license to answer for himself concerning the crime laid against him.
See, so it's the same thing today, don't it?
Yep.
If somebody accusing you of a crime, you can see them face to face, don't you? Huh? That's they point him out.
And also these treaties. Some countries have treaties that if, like, old boy that's over Snowden hiding, if they were going to bring him back to execute him, some countries say we will give him up for these killers.
Right. But they're saying he's made it to our land. So your laws don't come in this land. He made it here. So however he got there, they let in strangers, them they rules. And they rules say we don't have to give him up if he don't want to leave. But usually, a superpower put the hammer down.
They send on Jason Bourne after him or something.
Right. He gonna walk backwards his whole life. The whole time. There ain't gonna be no need. You know you're dealing with a superpower. You know what they do. And now they're on spiritual levels where they sending supernatural beings after them. They telecommunication, they dealing with communication of mind power and just click somebody's mind on and tell them, okay, here your mission is, this is what you need to go get. They doing it through the video games. Everybody that's doing these mass shootings is video game experts. And they're gun war games. And as soon as they turn them on, because they put it in that 3D and it's exactly like you right there. You ain't got no spiritual cover. So Satan jumps in just like when you go get hypnotized. Which you should never do. The first thing they tell you, lay back, relax, empty your mind. Empty your mind. Empty your mind, and they jump in the spirit, and you think you was Rufus from the 3rd century. Because they put that in there. Now we reach back into this regress feeling. When the law that you emptied out said, it's appointed for a man to die once, and then there's the judgment. How you now thinking you somebody from the 12th century? Right. Because you done emptied out your head. Let's get it.
Verse 17. Therefore, when they were come hither without any delay on the morrow, I sat on the judgment seat and commanded the man to be brought forth.
Yeah.
Against whom, when the accusers stood up, they brought none accusations of such things as I supposed, but had certain questions against him of their own superstition, and of one Jesus, which was dead, whom Paul affirmed to be alive.
See, right here, they're saying, look, plus he's rocking superstition. He's talking about a man that's dead, and Paul saying, I saw him yesterday. But Paul saw him on the road to Damascus. Go ahead.
And because I doubted of such manner of questions, I asked him whether he would go to Jerusalem and there be judged of these matters.
So he had doubted questions that Christ was still alive. So he like, look, I don't even want to deal with it no more. He'll deal with you, so you can have it. Go ahead.
But when Paul had appeared to be reserved unto the hearing of Augustus, I commanded him to be kept till I might send him to Caesar.
See, you see that same hearing? Same system, y'all. Ain't nothing changed, ain't nothing new under the sun. He's just teaching us how to deal with it. They may get you. They may lock you up. Christ said you may have tribulation 10 days. You may be locked up for 10 days. Be faithful.
So he didn't get no bond in this case.
Right. No bond here. Go ahead.
Then Agrippa said unto Festus, I would also hear the man myself tomorrow. Said he, thou shalt hear him.
So this must have been a Thursday, because if it had been a Friday, he would have said, I'll hear him Monday.
Right.
But court closed on Saturday and Sunday.
It's just a holiday on
You know,
Monday.
you got to sit 2 extra days. Go ahead, brother.
And on the morrow, when Agrippa was come, and Bernice with great pomp, and was entered into the place of hearing with the chief captains and principal men of the city, at Festus' commandment, Paul was brought forth. And Festus said, King Agrippa, and all men which are here present with us, ye see this man, about whom all the multitude of the Jews have dealt with me, both at Jerusalem and also here, crying that he ought not to live any longer.
Crying. Kill it.
Young people say you
Kill it.
Then they deal with Christ.
Go ahead. Right.
But when I found that he had committed nothing worthy of death, and that he himself hath appealed to Augustus, I have determined to send him, of whom I have no certain thing to write unto my Lord, whereof I have brought him forth before you, and specially before thee, O King Agrippa, that after examination had, I might have somewhat to write. For it seemeth to me unreasonable to send a prisoner and not withal to signify the crimes laid against him.
See, so he said, I got to lay it out what they accuse him for. I just can't send them to you. So he know what's happening when you get there. Y'all, it's a process that you go to. Ain't nothing we can do about being falsely accused. Because this nation is riding off of the order. Two witnesses point you out. We're going to lock you up till we get to the bottom of it. We're going to lock you up till you can be cleared. And ain't nothing we can do about that because we under this law. We didn't want to be under our law. We told God we profaned his law. That's why we're here. Ain't it?
Yep.
Let's read some more.
That's it.
Okay, I'm going to get right down 26, y'all, then we're going to close out. I just want to get right to where he was started at 1 through 8, 1 through 9. And that's it, y'all. I want to get that one.
You want to do the Luke's?
Yeah, we're going to just get that Luke 2 and 1 where Christ paid the taxes. When he told Peter, Peter was at, he said, Lord, see, you say, we got to pay taxes to go through the cold boots. He said, you got some money? No, I ain't got no paper. Throw your line out there, and you're going to catch a fish, you're going to have that money in the mouth, we're going to pay season with that, we're going to keep it moving. Y'all, there can be no roadblocks in the way. That's Caesar's money. If we're trying to hang on to that money, we're going to start to love that money and stack it up, and we're going to be paper chasing. But when you deal with it for what it is, just like what's on that Chris dollar bill you got, it says legal tender, public or private for all use. Public, you can go up there and pay for your stuff at the grocery store, tick, or private.
Make it rain.
Public and private. Let's get it.
26 and 1. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, thou art permitted to speak for thyself.
Right.
Then Paul stretched forth the hand and answered for himself. I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee, touching all the things whereof I am accused of the Jews, especially because I know thee to be expert in all customs and questions which are among the Jews. Wherefore I beseech thee to hear me patiently. My manner of life from my youth, which was at the first among mine own nation at Jerusalem, know all the Jews, which knew me from the beginning, if they would testify that after the most straightest sect of our religion, I lived a Pharisee. And now I stand and am judged for the hope of the promise made of God unto our fathers, unto which promise our 12 tribes, instantly serving God day and night, hope to come, for which hope's sake, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews.
So hold it back there. So Paul was breaking it down and said, look, I do the law, I know it better than them. I used to kill people with it. I had authority to do it. I know it backwards and forward. But we're going to skip on down to right where the heart of the matter is at, and that's in 26 and verse, and then we're going to hit these last two, y'all, we're going to be up. Verse 21. Skip down to verse 21, and there's something very important here that what he's going to tell Agrippa, you know, and how we understand what the word Christian versus Christianity means. Go ahead.
21. For this cause the Jews caught me in the temple and went about to kill me.
And went about to do what?
To kill me. Having therefore obtained help of God, I continue unto this day, witnessing both to small and great, saying none other things than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come.
So right here, if Paul right here, anybody saying Paul done away with the law, Paul said right here, I ain't doing nothing but what the prophets said. So that's why when they say, well, the law is done away with, they never add part to it. They say, the script says, until the law and the prophets and the So the second coming, Isaiah is prophesied the second coming. That ain't happened yet, but the law ain't been fulfilled in the manner that they want to say it's done away with. Right. Go ahead, read some more.
23. That Christ should suffer.
That he should do what?
That he should suffer.
Right?
And that he should be the first that should rise from the dead and should show light unto the people and to the Gentiles.
Okay.
And as he thus spake for himself, Festus said with a loud voice, Paul, thou art beside thyself.
He's like, Paul, you crazy as a lunatic. Go ahead.
Much learning doth make thee mad.
See what he said? Much learning doth make thee mad. Right. He gone crazy, y'all. You know that's another word for gone crazy. Gone mad.
Mad at him.
Mad dog. Mad chicken. What is it? What we got mad? What is all this mad cow disease? Ain't gonna be a problem if there's some mad chicken around there, ain't it? It's gonna be rough in the game, boy. Let's get it. Go ahead. Verse 25.
25. But he said, I am not mad, most noble Festus.
Right.
But speak forth the words of truth and soberness.
See, when you speak forth the word of truth and soberness, you're understanding it and you're saying, no, this ain't drunk talk. I can back this up with the law and the prophets. They said the same thing. They taught me what to say and how to act according to the will of the Most High. No, this ain't drunk talk. It's the same thing that went on day of Pentecost, Acts 2, when they say these men are drunk. Peter said, you know, drunkenness ain't but the third hour of the day. It's 9 a.m. Let's read. Where we at?
For the king knoweth of these things,
right,
before whom also I speak freely. For I am persuaded that none of these things are hidden from him, for this thing was not done in a corner.
Same thing Christ said, I don't do nothing high.
It wasn't private.
Say I wasn't private. We was out front doing
We was
it.
right there doing it. Right.
This ain't no Mason organization where we whisper secrets. Let's get it. Where we at?
27. King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets?
See what he asking him? King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets? What prophets you think he's talking about? That he want King Agrippa to believe? Zeus, Thor, Pharaoh? No, he said, believest thou the prophets?
Question.
That's the question. Go ahead.
I know that thou believest.
So you see he's speaking with authority.
That's right.
You know, that's like Christ when he was in front of Pilate. He speaks with authority according to the word.
That's right. Go ahead.
Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian.
So right in the word, this is not to be made a religion. Christian meant Christ follower.
Exactly.
Christianity is a follower of the Roman doctrine.
Right.
It's totally two different things. They did not follow Christ because they said Mary called the shots. You say Hail Mary to her. The Pope, you go to him with your sins. You tell him he's Christ, he's the Almighty on earth. Till Christ come back. That's what he said. That's the same thing Egyptology was. Right, so go ahead. What you got, brother?
It's from Zion Dictionary. Definition of Antioch. It says the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch.
And Antioch, that's the first time they said, there go the Christ followers. That's all Christian means. It don't mean you're a part of Christianity, which is just a new doctrine made up of organized, man-made religion. That's Christianity. That's not, go ahead.
It says the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch.
Right.
A designation following coming from the populace who were well known for their invention of nicknames. By outsiders.
So, right, so y'all, that's what they may say. They may call it just the Israelites. But y'all, we tell them, yeah, I mean, y'all call us Christians. That ain't hurting us. That ain't hurting us no more that we use Jesus, the word Jesus, because we know the understand. We understand we are Christ's followers. Right. Jesus is one of his translated name from Hebrew to English.
Alright, so y'all know who Agrippa is. Agrippa was the great grandson of Herod the Great.
Y'all see that?
Y'all know who he was talking to. He was talking about
Who was an Edomite?
Yeah.
King at the time. Was he the one that put out the edict to kill Christ? Or was John the Baptist?
John the Baptist.
Christ too, remember?
Right, same one, right? He's been around. He called him that fox. He was King Herod of Idumea. I do. Go ahead. Go ahead, Baptist. What you got now?
I read this Acts 11:26 on the Antioch. Christian.
Duh.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah, we're gonna get on going. Go ahead, brother.
It's Acts chapter 11, verse 26.
Acts 11 and 6.
26.
Okay.
And when he had found him, he brought him into Antioch.
Right.
And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians. They were called Christians first in Antioch.
So that's the first time like we was called niggas when we got here first.
That's right.
Won't nobody else calling us that. So y'all, you have to understand.
No, it said the disciples was called that.
Right, the disciples. Right. So they were called Christians. So Christ followers. It was only those who were carrying the word. So don't get that mixed up with the doctrine that's taught to all. That's Christianity. That's based off of Roman canon.
Christian insanity.
That's an
Antichrist.
Because what they're doing is they'll support the movement tomorrow. They support all of these movements that say this. That's not Christ-like. That's why every time the Bible is mentioned or a scripture mentioned, they say away with that. We don't want to hear that. You think we just got these fancy rainbows to hear all of that? Let's read some more of this, y'all. We're going to get on out of here. Go ahead, bro.
And also, this is for Agrippa, this is without excuse. Now, he can't stand before the Most High and say, I didn't know.
Right.
Because he had Paul standing before him. Verse 29. Go ahead again.
Yeah,
And Agrippa said,
I'm about to get through this. Go ahead.
Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. And Paul said, I would to God that not only thou, but also all that hear me this day were both almost and altogether such as I am, except these bonds.
See, so Paul said everybody, I wish everybody knew this, the gospel of Christ. Everybody, not only you, Agrippa, not only you. So this is Paul saying, not only the Gentiles that he was talking about was Israelites that had went astray, but he was also talking about the Gentiles next because Agrippa wasn't up.
He was an Edomite. No,
He's an Edomite. He's saying, what you mean persuaded you? I want you to go ahead and Paul.
I wish y'all
Like one is.
I am, then he said, accept these bonds. I wish y'all was like me, except not locked up.
Read on down, and then we're going to hit these last two, y'all, we're going to close out.
And when he
got Acts 11, you read that already, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And when he had thus spoken, the king rose up, and the governor, and Bernice, and they that sat with them. And when they were gone aside, they talked between themselves, saying, This man doeth nothing worthy of death or of bonds. Then said Agrippa unto Festus, This man might have been set at liberty if he had not appealed unto Caesar.
See, so he probably said he might have been set at liberty and he come through these courts.
They would have had the authority to
They
set him
would have had,
loose, but
right.
he had already appealed to
He had already appealed, but they was going to kill him if he didn't set him loose. Paul knew what he was doing.
And then you know what? He ended up dying in Rome too.
Right.
He ended his life, Peter and Paul, ended up getting martyred in Rome.
These last two, y'all, Luke 20, Luke 2 and 1, and y'all, these just some things we want to see. And I understand this, y'all, there's sovereignty out there. But you cannot look at the sovereignty doctrine as it will deliver you from Deuteronomy 28. It will not deliver you from Deuteronomy 28.
It's all type of more science temples, Negroes in jail.
Yep.
Most of it says the paperwork of Ishmaelite descent, not for the Negroes. When you get them Moorish ID card, that's why they changed their name. Because if you got traced back to Israelite, they saying this ain't for you.
Like old boy who came down here.
Right, came down here.
My name Boy Josh.
Right.
Like,
I'm reading the paperwork. He said, look, man, I don't even have to get the license plate so I can drive. And I'm like, come on, man, just some license plates. That's all you worried about? If they pull you over, they have to let you go. Well, if you want your raise to the OJ's concert, and they stop you in every county, Pine Lawn, get you, the agendas, get you. I mean, even though they let you go, it's a discomfort in your life. So, you know, we have to understand, but when he showed me the paperwork, and it says for Ishmaelites, for Arabs, for all of this, but it says not for the so-called African American. This don't encompass them. They were brought here for a different reason. I said, man, right there, it says it ain't for us. I said, so, what's the name on your driver's license and your work ID? We cannot use it for guile. If you explain it to somebody, if somebody gets on sovereignty, you have to explain the flip side of the coin. You have to explain the flip side of the coin. When you go sovereign, understand me, y'all, when you go sovereign, you say, I'm taking myself out of federal aid and assistance. Now, you got to understand, if that's cool, I just give my taxes money, I don't give them nothing. But that means your children can't go to public school. You can't get this. So it's like a trade-off, y'all. And if you willing to stand on that and ride that to the end, so be it. But we saying at least if you introduce it to somebody, tell them that side of it. Don't just tell them the good side of it. You want to pay no more, dog. I ain't supposed to drive like they ain't pay no more taxes. But you got to tell them this other side. The tax man ain't gonna stop coming. Every 6 years or every few years, he gonna say, what that paper at? And you gonna have to fill out a form and send it back to him and say, I'm sorry again. So you're gonna play that game until it's over. But if you miss sending them back that paperwork, they're coming for that paper or it's a jail sentence. You have to understand they've been through a loophole. If it was that easy, everybody on planet Earth would be doing it. Especially the rich.
They got the IRS scandal going on now, don't they?
Right. That's right. That's right. Let's get these last two, y'all. We're gonna close it out. Luke chapter 2, verse 1. These last two, y'all, is Luke 20 and 20. And it's just showing you that when you get in situations, y'all, to keep that heat off your back. Just get them heathens with them heathens asking for. It ain't yours. When you start up riches in the kingdom, you know, you're not looking, you're just trying to make your way through it. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. When they telling you you trying to work, you ain't got enough money at the end of the month. We know it's rough, y'all. But you can't put yourself in position to allow them to take what little bit you got and dealing with that in court, and you still the landlord looking for heathens. Union electric still looking for heathens, but you battling with them. No, you can't get into that game with them because you're gonna lose.
You got enough money going around.
They don't care how much money you got either. Aaron Hernandez, they got him locked up. He done too. Done me.
They caught that boy on
Trace him back to Bubba.
his own surveillance.
Right.
His own surveillance camera got him coming in and out of the gun. Same kind of gun.
Right. He got bubble gum and Brown saying that he don't feel buying bubble gum. This is how much they watching you. They tracked him everywhere he went by his cell phone, and he stopped in a store and bought Bubblicious gum.
And then old boy text his family as soon as he got a call. Just to let y'all know I'm in the car with everything. You know what I'm saying? Just to let y'all know. You know what I'm saying? He in the deed.
Right. They found bubble gum and a shell casing, and then he don't feel with a pistol in his hand. So they like the gum gap. When they run the DNA, it's gonna be this chopped and
Tight end for New England Patriots.
Just got his 14 days.
He done.
Now ain't gonna be a loose in.
And then he got the civil lawsuit. He just shot somebody in the face and everywhere.
Right
down the street from his He shot right down the street from his house and said, you know what happened.
Right. Well, let's get it, y'all. That's how Satan do with that money. Think you can buy your way out. It's done. Because I got real.
Done deal.
Let's get it.
Luke chapter 2, verse 1.
We got these last two, y'all. We out.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed.
What should they be?
Be taxed.
He said all the world from Caesar Augustus. Everybody pay tributary. Y'all, when we take the kingdom, it's tributary. The rest of the world got to pay tribute. Let's get it.
And that was Augustus Caesar when he was born. That was ruling. That's wild.
Go ahead.
And this tax was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, everyone unto his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which was called Bethlehem, because he was from the house of the lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child.
So right here it's saying he went up to be taxed with Mary. So he knew the process that it had to be. Look, we here. Y'all, they gonna give you jail time, and look, this the deal. The only way you are truly free from taxes is you never signed the W-4 form. That's a voluntary form. They say I will voluntarily give you 10%. Once you sign that contract, you are in the system. If you never signed it, they have no reason to ever take taxes from you. Even if you own your own business, you have to send them a report and say, this is how much I made. But you can't have a yacht and 3 Rolls Royces out front of you say only make 35 grand. And Leroy's all in chicken shack. You don't know. They're like, no, you ain't got all this for that. Something funny here, and we coming for our cut. Yo, so we have to understand, when we was in Jerusalem, when we was in Jerusalem, we were never to count Israel, never to let the nations know how strong our army was. But that was when we was controlling our nation. We never revealed that. Satan tempted David to do it. And David had to serve 3 years of punishment for that. But that's not in the other lands. In the other lands, it's totally different from our law at home and our people. So every time somebody may say, well, we weren't supposed to do that, we weren't supposed to be counting sin, that was at home. If you wanted to do right at home, you wouldn't be talking about that now. We'd be at home doing right. You can't talk about what was right at home and we didn't put ourselves here and still ain't doing right. Let's get some more. Where we at? Let's just finish that up. No, that was good. Let's get that Luke 20 and 20 and we out, y'all.
Luke 20 and 20?
Yeah. Yo, look, y'all, we just have to fix it like this. If you bad with money like me, let them get it before you see it.
Bro, where you go, bro?
Hey, let them get it before you get it if you bad with it. If you can't pay them like you're supposed to, let them get it. Ain't no need to talk about what you gonna do. No, see, dog, no, what I do, I gotta sense it up. See, I claim 0 plus 1. And then at the end, at the end, you're going to have so many gator boots and Dooney and Burke and Willie Taylor purses. The taxes going to be forgotten about. Let's get where we're at.
Luke chapter 20, verse 20. And they watched him and sent for spies, which should feign themselves just men, that they might take hold of his words, that so they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the government. And they asked him, saying, Master, we know that thou sayest and teachest rightly, neither acceptest thou the person of any, but teachest the ways of God truly. It is lawful for us to give tribute unto Caesar or no.
See, now they trying to trick him up. You know, they just ask him a question. See, should we give tributary to Caesar? So we got to be careful. They're like, man, the hell with these heathens. This kingdom about to crumble anyway. Keep that little chain. Don't listen to that advice. Please don't, if you done already signed the contract of a W-4. Don't do it. Go ahead.
But he perceived their craftiness, and said unto them, Why temptest ye me? Show me a penny, whose image and superscription have it.
So right here, he said, show me a penny. Somebody pull it up. Right here, I got one. There it is. He said, who on that? Who's on her? Abraham Lincoln. That's what the subscription is on. Go ahead, you know.
They answered and said, Caesar. And he said unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which be Caesar's, and unto God the things which be God.
So right here, y'all, we see that what that last one I want with the we show big God versus Acts 4. We got it right there, y'all. We'll close out on this. What prayer we got? Psalm 103. We're gonna close out. We're gonna get this last quote where Paul say not to obey the law when it tells you to go against God.
That's what we need.
I'm talking about, well, I should say command you. There's a different understanding in this word, y'all. We got to understand. Command. If they command you, you have to say no. Under no circumstances you going to order me to disobey God. Now I'm in bad enough shape myself.
All right, y'all, this is Acts chapter 4, verse 13. Peter just got locked up.
You're not going to right after this,
They try to issue a commandment. They try to issue an ungodly commandment to the brothers.
So we're going to see ain't nothing changed from the Old Testament to the New, from Daniel down all the way to Paul. It's the same thing. It's Sirach chapter 2, or called Ecclesiastes and Apocrypha. When you come to the Lord, prepare your heart for temptation. Satan is coming. Ain't nothing going to be fair in your eyes, but fair is going to be you know you are doing the right thing by the Most High, and you believe that He's going to deliver you. You have to sit down a minute. And some of us can testify sitting down and that blessing came. You know when no bond when they got up there to say, look, we ain't holding you no more, we're gonna let you go. And boy, you be walking quick. But walk your belongings. They have to, hey, hold you like that. You forgot your belongings. Right.
Took the sandwich and you get that. He didn't put himself, he came back, I said, you know you're wrong. You could have let me out, but you went and get sandwich first.
They don't play, y'all. And y'all, we have to understand that, y'all, we have to be wise to the system, y'all, and don't get caught up in it, don't make it more of a burden than it is. I try to play that with the heathens. Yeah. That judge told me, he said, I'm giving you John told. You don't come back here with my money, you get dropped off. That yours looked like it was to the arch. I felt like I was on the spiky escalator. Everybody was just looking like that. I wasn't going over the wrong zone.
To get his money.
You go. Go ahead.
He told you to get dropped off.
He told me to get dropped off. I guarantee you when I went back out there, receipts was in the hand. Absolutely. Because I was pulling some shenanigans. Get the money orders, make a copy of it, send that in, and go back to cash money order in. They told us. Hold on. They say, I swallowed. Let's get the last one.
Acts chapter 4. Man, you crazy.
Go ahead.
Acts chapter 4, verse 13. Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Jesus.
Right. You see that? They understood. They could. It's like somebody tell you, man, you sound like an Israelite down there in the basement of a serious business. See, they can understand and they hear. People tell you all the time, how do I know? I said,
And then you know they called them unlearned and ignorant. They hadn't been to any of the schooling institutions.
Right.
Rabbis.
Right. Absolutely.
They got the understanding directly from the word of the Most High themselves. And they breaking off these Pharisees and them doing they unlearned. They ain't never been through our institutions, none of that.
Speaking bold.
Speaking bold, yeah.
Go ahead,
Verse 14. And behold, the man which was healed, standing with them, they could say nothing against him. But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves, saying, what shall we do to these men? For that indeed a notable miracle hath been done by them, is manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem, and we cannot deny it.
See, right here, they said it's on the books. These boys didn't heal the man that's sick and spent all that money up. We know they, did y'all see what they did over here? Cast out demons. So we know it's the real deal. Go ahead.
Verse 17. But that it spread no further among the people. Let us straightly threaten them.
What they gonna do?
Let us straightly threaten them. That they speak henceforth to no man in his name.
See, they went back and they commanded. They said, let us charge them. If they say something else, they better not teach this doctrine to nobody else.
They know it's
Man, nah, and it said, let's straighten each other. We're going to tell them right to their face first. Before we tell everybody else.
And they admitted what they were doing was miracles.
That's right.
They seeing the work going down, but they were like, oh, no. Yeah, you can't deny it. Verse 18. And they called them and commanded them.
What they do?
They called them and commanded them.
Do y'all see this key word in here, commanded again?
man.
See, once they command you to break God's law, that's when you got to, it's time to man up or woman up. Let's get it.
And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor teach in the name of Jesus, or Yahushua Hebrew.
That's right.
Verse 19. But Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of God to hearken unto you more than unto God, judge ye.
Right.
For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. So when they had further threatened them, they let them go, finding nothing how they might punish them because of the people. For all men glorified God for that which was done.
See, right here, they didn't have no choice but to let them go at that point. Shalom, y'all. So they didn't have nothing else to charge them with because they didn't have nothing on them. And then they told them, like, look, go lock us up then. If you going to do that, then that's what the deal is, lock us up. And let's go on throughout the Bible. Y'all go get our prayer on y'all in the session.
Praise to the Most High.
And y'all, we have to understand, y'all, we gonna have to work this system and don't let it work us. And that's easy work to do, y'all. Easy work to do. Don't get in over your head. Be wise little serpents, but they got us chasing their paper. They get us in trap with the lust of our heart. We want that blame.
All right, y'all, in prayer. Psalm 103. All praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Honor of his only begotten son. Shabbat shalom to the family.
That's right.
Psalm 103. Psalm of David. Bless the Most High, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless Yahweh, O my soul. Forget not all his benefits. Who forgiveth all thine iniquities. Who healeth all thy diseases. Who redeemeth thy life from destruction. Who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies. Who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. The Lord executeth righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. He made known his ways unto Moses, his acts unto the children of Israel. Ahai is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy. He will not always chide, neither will he keep his anger forever. He has not dealt with us after our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy toward them that fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us.
That's right.
Like as a father pitieth his children, so the Lord pitieth them that fear him.
Thank you, Father.
For he knoweth our frame.
Thank you,
He remembereth that we are dust. As for man, his days are as grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourisheth. For the wind passeth over, and it is gone, and the place thereof shall know it no more. But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear him.
That's right.
His righteousness unto children's children, to such as keep his covenant,
That's right.
and to those that remember his commandments, to do them. Yahweh hath prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom ruleth over all.
That's right.
Bless the Most High, ye his angels,
Hallelujah.
that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. Bless ye the Most High, all ye his hosts,
right.
ye men